Yoshida.
This is Fern Halls.
And you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go.
All right, hello, and welcome to Aetheryte Radio, Gamer Escape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I'm FusionX. Joining me today, we've got Aldianaux, and we've got joining us from Oklahoma. We have Rook.
I did sing that the moment I got here, and my friend who's from Oklahoma.
Anytime I've thought that like you're out traveling this weekend, that's the only thing that just pops into my head.
Mm-hmm. It just blares in your mind, and I sang it at my friend the moment that he picked me up, and I could just see the
he
light
immediately regretted it. Yeah, he's like, oh, right. He's like freaking tourists. All right, so we have a lot to talk about today. Just in case the last letter from the producer live wasn't long enough for you, last night's went for like 6 hours.
Yeah. Woo!
So that's the topic today. Was there any other Lodestone news? I don't think so.
As if it matters.
It just occurred to me. Was there anything? Arrangement albums are up on streaming services.
Yeah.
So if you want some more stuff to listen to, go and listen to it. Dragon Quest X collaboration event is still going on, as is the Moogle Treasure Trove. So if you want that jacket, yeah, go get it.
Can I share something? Can I share something? I have never played a Dragon Quest game, and right before I flew out here, I started my first one.
Yeah.
And now, like, that I've seen the slimes in game, I had a moment where I just went, oh my gosh, I never got that slime hat because I never cared about the crossover because I never played a Dragon Quest game, but now I need it. As soon as I get back.
You never got the Puff Puff?
I never got the Puff Puff. I never got the Wiggly Jiggly. I never got it.
Which Dragon Quest? Is it 11?
It's... I think it's like the newer ones.
Okay.
There's a boy.
Doesn't even know which one it is.
Look, Bebop had it. It was like Bebop had it. It was just like, here's this game. You didn't play a Dragon Quest, so we're gonna play it. He is the Luminary, and he's got a really trimmed, like great bob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. That one is. Well, most of them are amazing, but that one is truly, truly amazing. I can't wait to hear.
I've played a little bit of that. The only Dragon Quest game that I completed.
Yeah.
You sitting down?
Yeah.
Dragon Quest Builders 2.
I knew it was going to be Builders.
And somehow I knew it was going to be Builders.
Aldianaux, I'm so sorry that you're stuck on this podcast with us, but I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to do my first Dragon Quest, and I'm very excited to hear that it's good because we are just a little ways into it, and I was like, I'm curious, but it's starting to get more interesting. So now I'm like, I got to get in on that collab event before it's gone because I'm going to inevitably fall in love with this franchise and then want all the stuff I didn't get from the collab event. So
there will be emotions. It doesn't look like there might be. There will be. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
All right. So let's get into the live letter. The biggest thing, Endwalker has been delayed by 2 weeks.
It has
been.
So
instead of early access on the 19th and official launch on the 23rd, we are now looking at early access on December 3rd with the official launch being moved to December 7th. So there is a full post up on the Lodestone talking about that. I mean, look, it sucks.
If you want a TLDR of that post, it's for quality, it's for stability, it's for the stuff that we want it to have, right? There's a lot of new players. It's the end of the era, basically. Let's get it right. It sucks if you took time off. I definitely get it.
Yeah. Does it suck that it got delayed? Yes. Did I rearrange my holiday schedule to play a video game? Yes. But is delaying it the right call if it's not ready? Yes.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. And like, honestly, this is such a huge expansion too. I mean, it was one of those things where obviously seeing Yoshida-san be so emotional on the live letter about this, you know how much he just cares about the community's opinions of the game and the relationship and trust that they have with this game, especially having been the person to like take that chance to be like, we need to overhaul this and make it something incredible. You know what I mean? And with all of his experience and all of his years of just, I mean, I think, incredibly good calls for this game. It's like, if
Mm-hmm.
he himself looked at it and went, we need 2 more weeks, I'm like, okay, Yoshida-san, like, that's fine. I'm sad. And yes, of
Yeah.
course, we all want to play it. And yes, to people who took time off, that is really frustrating, especially when your bosses aren't very understanding. But like, this is a massive thing. 11 years of story to wrap up. And in the post, I felt so bad. He's just like, this is like the most monumental expansion we've ever had, and we're trying to make it the biggest and the best ever. And it's all my fault. It's my fault because I wanted it to be so good. And I'm so sorry. And I was like,
Yeah.
no,
Well, and then,
no.
and then he starts
don't
getting teary-eyed,
apologize.
and he talks about how like this is like the first time in his career, right, that he's had to like delay something. Like, it's like, I felt so bad for but like, like, I get it. A lot of people understand, but you're still gonna have the people that are, like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. You're terrible. Like, you're going to get that.
I wanna normalize being upset about it, right? Sure, you could be upset about it, especially if you had time. But we want to make sure that we're not attacking anyone about it, right?
Yeah,
Not the devs.
Don't be, figuring out emails and sending death threats or anything stupid like that.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, like, honestly, I try and tell everybody always. And like, this, of course, this was, not something that any of us expected. We're getting so close to it. So there's like, it's not anybody's fault. You know what I mean? But I always tell people, I'm like, if you have extremely limited time off, if you like really, 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 it's going to be impossible for you to rework this, then I always tell people to like, not waste their PTO. And it's like, it's so difficult, but there are so many unexpected things that come up with MMOs, whether it's a delay or it's that literally the servers aren't stable upon release or it's whatever it is, that I'm usually just like, if this is going to be something that is absolutely make or break for you, do not like schedule those precious hours around this, because there's always unpredictability. And of course, this was not anything anyone would have foreseen, but I mean, this is a huge, really pivotal, really monumental expansion, and I think we want it to be remembered for the right reasons. Not because it came out and everybody was like, oh my gosh, it was unplayable, and I was so mad, and like, the servers were a disaster, but because it was truly like the narrative culmination, a pinnacle of storytelling in MMOs that will set a precedent for a whole new storyline, but also for all other MMOs in the genre. So I'm just like, I just want it to be good, so like, you just make it good. And then I play it.
Yeah. And we have to be careful also about toxic positivity on the other side too, right? There are people who are going to be upset, and it's okay that they're upset. And we can tell them, everything, like, don't take PTO. But they're going to be feeling away. Don't attack them either, right? As long as they're not being jerks and attacking developers, people can be upset.
Let people grieve how they want to grieve. For I mean, maybe grief isn't the right word, right? It's not like somebody died, but let them kind of sulk and
come to terms with it.
Well, I mean, it is tough, and it's been an especially hard year. You know what I mean? This is something that many of us have looked forward to, and it's been something where, like, in an otherwise pretty bleak, rough pandemic of 2 years that has lasted, we've really been looking forward to this. So it is absolutely valid to be upset about it, to be disappointed. I mean, it's funny because I feel like I was such a mixed bag of emotions. I don't know about both of you, but I was like, on one hand, I was really sad because I was really excited to play it. On the other hand, I was super relieved because I was just like, I didn't even know how I was going to be able to get all the stuff done that I wanted to get done before that. And I did. I was like in the middle of conversations with my mom being like, hey, yeah, so Thanksgiving. And it was like, in one fell swoop, all the stress, it was like, oh, just 2 weeks later? Okie dokie. Like, it's great.
Yeah, that was kind of me too, because I was like, oh, could we do Thanksgiving now? I think we're still gonna keep with our original plans, but it's just like that like, oh, so we could holiday, but then also I think like for me, like, because I mean, I've got people in my family in game development and stuff like that, like, I know what kind of thoughts and stuff are probably going through Yoshida's head with this, and you can tell like just how much it bothered him, and it's just like, oh, it sucks. Like, I feel really bad for the team, but I will say I am seeing way more people being understanding than not. Certainly. So that's it's so good to see with the way that we know we know how bad the other side of that coin can be. And so it's nice to see everybody so supportive.
Yeah, especially in a year where we have had so many other games that have struggled with exactly this issue. Even just thinking back to like the Cyberpunk release, you know what I mean? It's like that game had been delayed multiple times, but honestly, it should have been delayed even more.
Yes.
And there's like really good stuff in there, but you can tell like that was not the vision, the full complete vision that they even wanted to realize. And I think that, when there are games that are going to leave their mark or that are huge, just like incredibly difficult undertakings, there is a bit of understanding that has to kind of go into it, where it's just like, especially as Final Fantasy XIV experiences a boom unlike anything we've ever seen in the game, where I'm sure they were really conscious of the fact that QA testing now more than ever would probably be the vital last piece of what has to happen for this to be like a good experience for players. So I'm glad they're taking the time. And I mean, honestly, it's so tough because like Yoshida-san says, like, I'm really sorry if I broke the players' trust with this. And I mean, I can't speak for everybody. And people, like you were saying, are justified in feeling upset or like having a lot of other issues that might happen with this. But like, I think this game has more than proven itself. Like, just to be honest, I mean, I think the trust that has been built up in this game with its schedules, with like the team that delivers these unparalleled experiences. And like, while there are things we critique about the game, there's so much about this game that it's like, trust is not trust if the moment something doesn't go the way that you expect it, you're just like, bye. It's like, this is something they've earned. And so to extend that trust back to them, I was just like, okay, I trust that this is what
for
you
Yoshida
need.
to word it that way too. I mean, it reminds me of a teacher that I used to have. Like, if I didn't do homework, he wouldn't be like, oh, why didn't you do your homework? He'd be like, he wasn't mad, he was disappointed, right? It's that kind of stance. He's like, people aren't angry, like they don't trust us. Like that's like the more emotional, like that's the worst, option of the two, right? So it just I feel so bad for Yoshida-san and for the team. But again, like everybody, that I've been seeing for the most part has been really positive and understanding. And, like now, some of you, maybe now you have a week in November to just relax. Maybe you have, time to still, hang out with your family. If you're, if you're in the US, you can do Thanksgiving. Otherwise, just, chill, calm before the storm, right? Get, just chill, prep,
get prepared.
And then,
Prepared.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, and fingers crossed to everybody who did take time off, who are now trying to figure out if they can move it, because like, I get that's a huge stress, like that's a huge stress. So I really hope people are able to renegotiate it to some extent, or or just take time over the holidays to play. So
I mean, I used to work retail, like trying to get time off during this time of year. I know how much of a pain in the ass that can be. So, hopefully people can make it work. And if not, it sucks, but you'll still get to play the game eventually, and you'll still be able to enjoy it. And
I am super glad, though, just to be real, that Savage is not coming out over Christmas.
Yes,
that is nice.
I honestly was surprised. Like, they always want to stay on pace. This year has been an unprecedented weird thing with a lot of the shifts they've had to do and Ultimate being delayed. Like, this is not something that we've ever experienced in the game before. And again, I think a lot of it is because of extenuating circumstances, obviously, with a pandemic. But it has been a really strange year. But like, even so, I was surprised that they didn't like schedule them later than usual after the initial release that was announced, because I was just like, this is tough. My family's not going to understand that I need to raid, and like, I want to see my family.
It's tricky too, right? Because I mean, you look at Japan, like they don't do Christmas like we do. Like their Christmas thing is like, we're all going to get orders from KFC. Like seriously, like that's what they do in Japan. They order KFC. So it's that cultural, like, I don't know if I'd call it like a disconnect, right? But I mean, you have this game in so many different regions that, you might land on a holiday for one region, like regardless of when you launch it. And that's just unavoidable, right? That's just how it is. It's either they can wait to release it another couple months, or they can just put it out now, and it is what it is. So,
those dates though, because I don't think we went up to the 7th, but the 21st of December is normal raid. So it's patch 6.01.
Yeah, so let's go down the list here. Yeah, because we could talk about the delay forever. We'll talk about it for 5 hours, and we'll just keep saying the same thing.
Exactly.
So they did release the upcoming patch schedule, and this is through patch 6.05. So December 3rd will be the start of early access. December 7th will be the official Endwalker launch. December 21st is going to be patch 6.01, which will be the release of Pandemonium Raid content. I'll get back to that in a sec. January 4th, patch 6.05 will be Pandemonium Savage, the Excitatron 6,000 treasure map dungeons, new elegant tomestones with the weekly cap, and new gear. There was a part of me that dreaded when I saw how they were spelling Pandemonium with that AE character that they use for the encyclopedia. I was like, oh no! As somebody that writes this stuff up, sometimes I'm like, why would you do this to me, Koji?
Because it gives me that good fantasy world texture, you know, like when
Koji saw an opportunity.
Yes, like when you unnecessarily put like a Y in a word, just like in the middle of it, or like the little, anytime you get the little comma or like, you know, anything like that. I love that fantasy flair.
Yeah. So that is the schedule. So you'll get normal raid right before Christmas, and then you'll get Savage right after New Year's, which I think is probably, like, considering, you know, all things considered, that's probably a solid time. Like, that's, you know, out of when things are coming out, like, that's probably the best time that they could have done it, right? A couple days before Christmas, when, you know, people aren't quite traveling yet, but it's not Savage, so you can get it done in a day. And then January 4th, like, most people are probably back from New Year's by then if they're out traveling. So, like, I think that's like, it's right on the edge, you know, of both of those holidays. So I think it works really well.
I think it's a great time in general. In specific, it is horrible for me, but that's okay. I mean, that's the way that it works. Like, some people get it on the front end of the 2 week shifted. Some people, it's on the back end, right? There's some Savage Raiders who are like, oh, good, the 4th. Yeah, I'm going to be gone for a week. Whoops.
Yeah,
you know,
how dare they not consult you personally before making these decisions that affect millions of players?
So everybody's going to feel it a little bit. I think in general it is better, though. Like, it just makes more sense.
Yeah, and I mean, it is, again, it's so tough. People made a lot of plans. Like, this is something that people do plan around. So, and especially with, like, World's First stuff and organizing those kinds of events. Like, there's definitely a lot of consideration there. But, oh boy, the overlap with the holidays, you know, it wasn't so bad when it was just, like, me. But now that I have, like, my family and my partner's family, the holidays, and I'm sure many of you understand, are always, like, the most stressful ever because everybody wants quality time together, but then if there's big releases or stuff at the same time, you're like, when am I gonna make content for this?
and it gets hard too. I mean, obviously, like, you know, we're a little bit more of the exceptions, like, but we have to review this, we have to play it, you know. But yeah, I think it, you know, in right over the past couple of years, right, you know, now people are getting vaccinated, they are more willing to travel and get together with their family, so it kind of sucks, you know, that I think it like, the delay is bad. Like, it's not great, right? But ultimately, I think that this moves it just on either end of the holidays. And I think that's really good. I think that's something that's a really good thing to come out of this. So, we had a launch trailer.
Yes.
We won't go too in depth about it. Like, I know there's a lot of people this time around. They're like, nope, like, I'm out. I'm not looking at it. I don't want to know anything about it. That new vocal track, though, I think that's going to be amazing. I think that's going to be this expansion's Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. It's gorgeous. I mean, and they, like, the little snippets of all the little things, even from the media tour previews that we got to do, and that little, like, higher. It kills me every time I hear it. The music was so amazing. And I will say, having just watched the trailer myself right before the cast today because I was busy last night, there is what I would consider, although of course they're usually really good about this, but there is at least one major visual that I would say is probably a spoiler.
Yeah, most likely.
I think,
and like, it's maybe the most spoilery spoiler I've ever seen in one of their trailers. But even so, I don't know if we can necessarily understand the full scope of this expansion, right? I think there's so much more that we probably have no idea or no concept of what we're going to see. So, like, I wouldn't worry too much. But if you are somebody who's been really on the fence about watching it, I was like, oh, there can't be anything that much in it. And then I watched it and I was like, they put that in there?
There's a couple, like, What is that?
What is that thing?
Goldstar's got it right in the chat. The new launch trailer was not too spoily compared to Shadowbringers with the Idolin and Sony Archive Primals.
That's true.
Shout out to our buddy
very
Brian Holy, Avalon Star.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, granted, I guess with Shadowbringers, the big sucker punch of that expansion to me wasn't even actually that reveal, right? Like, that is a big thing, and it was a big question that we were curious about. But the real sucker punch for me was Amarat and the Ancients, and like the context of them being primals.
Yes.
So again, I feel like, especially knowing that this expansion, based off of what we saw with the presentation during the media tour, I think this expansion is going to go to places so much bigger than we're even assuming. That the stuff that they've shown us that are like, oh yeah, that's like a thing that we were probably hoping to see, but now it's in the trailer, just kind of makes me go, then what are they going to punch me with when I actually play the game?
What are they reserving? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did a quick patch overview. Talked about some of the new areas. We know most of these already. Old Charlene, Razathan, Labyrinthos, Thavnir, Garlemald, Mare Lamentorum, which is the moon, and then question mark more. So we have our they showed the artwork for weird green floating Amarat ish thing that we've they've been showing that for a little while. So. There's the fact that they're holding something back is like we're gonna have this big like, oh my god, like I want to give me another Amarat moment, like that's what I want.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I was actually surprised that they mentioned that Labyrinthos is one of the earliest zones that you'll be in. And we talked so long before they actually released details about it being like an underground library and all this kind of stuff. So many of us were theorizing from what we'd seen, like, oh, it's got to be an underground apocalypse bunker, right? Charlene has built this bunker.
It's where they make the pumpkins for their pumpkin spice lattes at Charbucks.
Yes, that's right.
Apparently, because they do have all the plants down there. And I don't know if that's just part of like a natural organic preservation system and it purifies the air for the books, or I have no idea. Yeah. But it does seem like they've done a variety of experiments down there. So to hear that this thing that I thought, I mean, granted, we'd seen pictures of it, so I guess it couldn't have been that big of a surprise. But to hear that it was actually like one of the earlier zones and is not probably going to be this massive epic mystery that I thought it was going to be, I was like, and yet the city in the clouds is still a huge mystery. So
I think in my brain, like my headcanon right now, we're going to start by going to Old Charlene, right? We're going to take the boat from Limsa, like we saw in the launch trailer. We'll go to Charlene. That might maybe that's, I don't know, like I started talking, then I'm like second guessing myself already, because we did see a picture of a new dungeon that looks like it's probably in the jungles of Thavnir after the sky lights up.
Yes.
But we also know that the first dungeon was Tower of Zot, which is in Thavnir. So do we go to Old Charlene first and then come back? Do we go to Razathan first and then go to Old Charlene? Like it's either way, my headcanon, I think we're gonna go to Garlemald sooner than we thought, and it's gonna be like before the midpoint in my mind. That's what I'm thinking.
Something I was also surprised by with the trailer and the zones, right? Is that having like wandered around Garlemald, and of course, again, it was just the media tour preview of it, so it's not like we totally know what the plots or characters or things are going to be. The map may not have even, like it might not have even been fully populated. Like we don't really know, but it felt to me so desolate, so final, that I was really surprised to see in the launch trailer several like Garlean characters and new Garlean characters, and this discussion about like these little snippets that seem to almost be about like whether or not they're going to help save the people of Garlemald or not, and I was kind of going, oh, I thought they were just getting them out of the way. And so they just super obliterated them to like, usurp our expectations in that regard. So it was interesting to see them in there. And I'm curious how large of a role they're going to play. But it makes sense, right? Because really, a lot of the beginning antagonism of this story came from Garlemald before we ever knew anything about the bigger key players. That has been a constant in this game. And to bring that to some sort of, I think, good conclusion, as opposed to just setting it on fire and then being like, bye, I think that's a much better way to do this with Endwalker.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see what we do. We saw at least a couple of Garleans. We saw one of them wearing, some judge-looking armor. I'm curious who that might be.
What that means.
I see in chat guesses that it's Nerva, which, I mean, Having just brushed up on my Garlean lore for my Garlemald Zone Tour video, I was very glad that I did.
Right.
Because I was like, I wouldn't have even remembered who Nerva was, to be honest. I was very glad I was able to recap that and like brush it up for myself.
I mean, there's
too.
that one shot too. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the train.
Yeah.
I know where that is. So yeah, I think that'll be really cool. Moving down our list here, one of the really cool things, this is what I was looking forward to the most in the live letter, was the random like kind of system side changes that they were doing.
Right.
We already have so many really great like quality of life things. They've done a lot with Shadowbringers. Like, what else can they even add? They're gonna have NPCs walk around with you when you do certain quests. What? They're gonna like banter and stuff as you just walk around. Like, that's awesome. Like, I love that.
It's so cool. It's such a RPG flavor.
Yeah.
It could really underpin the end of the story, you know, actually traveling with them. Because we always say that Stormblood was cool because it was this kind of, you know, girls trip, right? With Allison,
and Heaven's Word too, right? You have Heaven's Word was the bro trip. Was the bro trip,
at
and
least
then you
half at least, right? And we were kind of in an ensemble during Shadowbringer, so I'd love to see this. I hope that it changes per zone. I hope that we get to talk to everybody. I hope that you don't have to pick, because I won't be able to pick.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, it is one of those things where I think that there have always been these kind of weird gaps, you know what I mean? And they have been working to try and fill those as far as your kind of immersion standpoint goes.
Right.
Where like early on in the game, you get to these key moments and like maybe you and the other people are imprisoned. And like if you're lucky, you get put into some kind of little like zone before you go into the trial or whatever. And you can kind of see your ally there and they're like, good luck. And you're just like, okay, thanks. I hope I don't die.
Yeah.
But they've been trying more and more and more to build that gap, so it really does feel like you are on an active journey with them, with everything from trusts, which now allows you to kind of seamlessly, right, continue that momentum into the content, to stuff like this now, where you literally are taking this journey with people. It's not like you just have to like move your butt across the map to find wherever the sparkle is, and then they'll show up there. Like, I really, really, really love this touch, and I totally agree that it's one of those little like things you don't expect, but that gets sprinkled in that might very well make some of the major moments of this expansion. They were already doing such a phenomenal job with even just the pre and post quest dialogue you could get from clicking on various NPCs in Shadowbringers. So to see them flesh that out more in a way that's sort of tied into your flow and experience of the story, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I think it'll be great because I think it'll be a great way to be able to insert more story, right? Because right now, I mean, they have some quest text, they have maybe some bubble text. You know, there's certain ways that they can insert information, and I think this is going to be a new way to add more story elements. I know at one point during the broadcast, you should have talked about how like the first time you get to Old Charlayan, there's going to be some text that you can find that first time that maybe references like that, you know, how the twins used to, you know, they grew up in Old Charlayan and stuff.
I can't wait to see it.
So it's going to be one of those things like, okay, we get there for the first time. What kind of like, are we in like a phased instance? What's going on? Talk to everyone. So you don't miss any juicy bits of info.
And you can G-pose while they're with you.
So you can G-pose when the NPCs are with you. And they talked about how they might also join you on mounts. So there's got to be at least one quest that like puts you on a 2-seater mount or something, you know, so that they can accompany. So that's really cool.
Please.
My whole
put them in my car.
Yes, my whole playthrough is going to be utterly derailed. I'm going to be just deep in G-Pose land, taking pictures of me and Alice on a horse, just like, look at us, friendship trip.
That was one of the funny things too about the live letter is when they started talking about the twins and Old Charlayan and stuff, and he started talking about how, you know, a lot of people are excited to go see you know, where they grew up and to visit their family, because to a lot of people, you know, Alice is their waifu. and Alfino is their husbando. That's why they keep calling their dad. And it's just like, oh my god. Like,
yeah, we ran into a little
Yoshida
bit of that.
Yoshida knows his player base.
Right.
I know, but it was deeply unfortunate.
When they showed Yustola and the chat was like, "Mommy."
Yeah.
And they had to make a comment about that. Yoshipi's like, I'm not responsible for what she might do if you said that to her. Like, don't do that.
So yeah, he's like, I've never called her mommy.
Yeah.
On a super weird related note,
I like that. I like where this is starting.
Towards the end of the broadcast, this isn't in our write-up because it's one of those Japanese only things, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
They are. Do you guys remember 3 years ago they did an April Fool's joke that was a manga?
Yes.
Of like school, like they were like going to school. Alice was like the main protagonist. They are making that. They're
real.
actually making this manga. In the back.
Only JP?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So in the back is we translated this. If you haven't seen it yet, search for it up on Gamerscape. We translated this. I lettered it because that's my side job is I letter manga. So I gave it a lettering treatment. In the back, there's a character table. Guess who's mommy in the family?
Oh no. Is it Yustola?
It is Yustola.
Oh my god.
She is listed as the mom. Yeah.
Look, I feel better about calling, and this is coming from somebody who does not. I like to say that I like to be stepped on, but I do not personally enjoy calling anybody mommy in a sense at all, ever. It's very uncomfortable to me, and I dislike it strongly. But in the case of Ishola, I'm like, okay, sure, fine. Like, maybe, yeah, that'd be all right. Calling the twins waifu and husbando, I'm like, they're teenagers. No. They gotta actually have their age up in this game, and then you can start talking about whatever you want. Dad Crit is good. I see in chat Gold Stars. Dad Crit, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
it took him a little bit to learn how to be a good father, and it took the help and support of his husband Oriange, and between the two of them, they learned how to dad good in Shadowbringers.
Dad. I don't know, man. Like that whole second tier of Eden was just like bad choices. The raid. If they had better parenting, I think that would have ended a little better.
Well, at least they have dad reflexes. They did keep things from going too wrong.
It's true. Everybody made it out alive, and nobody was bleeding too much. So
it is funny. One of the funny, like, really, it was like the MS Paint. I wanted to say Photoshop, but it was probably in Paint. Took this image of the Warrior Light with Alphino and Alice walking behind him for like the quest stuff. And they put like the little kitty leashes on Alphino and Alice.
Yeah, I love that edit.
Oh.
You know, it has dawned on me that we're over here talking about like mommy in regards to Ishola, but as chat has reminded us here, like, are we going to see that as opposed to Shadowbringers, which was like Dad Bringers, is this going to be like Mum Walker? And I was over here like, well, they do call her Mother Heidelin. So if any of you want to take that risk and you want to go look that beautiful lady of light in the face and call her mommy, you take your chance.
Do it.
She might be like, my child, and that'll be fine. Or she might obliterate you and kill you, and then you'll be wiped from existence. And that's Endwalker. So
Sickness must be
the end.
heard.
That's the bad ending for Endwalker.
yeah.
I could just see the JoJo to be continued meme.
Oh man, that 6.1 arc is gonna be crazy.
Wild.
So we are going to get Studium deliveries. So it's just like, they had to the Crystarium. They will have 5 quest lines for Disciples of Hand and Land. And these will be divided up with Blacksmith, Armor, and Goldsmith, Carpenter, Leatherworker, Weaver, Alchemist, Culinarian, Botanist, Miner, and Fisher. And then there will be extra quests if you complete all of those quest lines.
That's really cool because we were kind of wondering when we got role quests and Shadowbringers, and we're like, yeah, but what are you gonna do in the future for crafting and gathering? Well, they answered it.
Yeah,
same,
just more of those.
Which is cool.
Yeah. And did I remember correctly? Did we touch on the new role quests?
Not yet.
That were just above that? Yeah. So those as well. I mean, it's great to see them
I
actually.
over those. My bad.
That's okay. I just thought maybe my memory lapsed.
We got distracted by mommy.
Yeah, sorry, that was very distracting, to be fair, and I apologize for everything that's happened in the last 10 minutes. But I am really glad to see this because there are a lot of people who really love crafting and gathering, and with the really like excellently done push where they reworked so much stuff and they added Niche Guardian Restoration, I think we'll probably see more people than ever in a place to actually do those quests, which I'm sure was really their end game the whole time with all of that. And even I will have stuff that I'll probably be able to do, and I'm the laziest and worst crafter gatherer in all of Final Fantasy XIV. But I'd love to see those quests and to have something in there as well that kind of keeps building off of that and showing that, like, hey, these are important to us too, is really nice.
Yeah. So this time around, we'll have 5 quest lines: tank, healer, melee DPS, physical range DPS, and magical range DPS. There will be extra quests for completing all 5 of these quest lines that will be added they're saying 6.1 or later. I don't know if that's supposed to be an and, or if they don't know when exactly they're going to drop yet. We don't know if they'll be tied to the Void quests. I mean, that's been kind of a big question mark. Obviously, like, we've talked about the Void quests before. Really great stuff, but to have that kind of barrier to entry is maybe not so great. So yeah, I'll be really curious to see what they do with these. They say that the role quest will not be a requirement to complete main scenario like it was in Shadowbringers. So it's not like you're going through the story and then you're like, oh, I need to stop and go back. These role quests. Right. Now. So you'll be able to just go through it. Also, there will be no level 90 job quests. How do you guys feel about that?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest. I really wasn't. It felt very much to me, and Yoshida-san even said, right, during this portion, that the ones that we got at 80 were meant to be an end, right? They were meant to be like a little final capstone that just tied up the story that had existed so far. And honestly, that's what it felt like to me, I didn't feel like they added anything. They were pretty much just like a final farewell to the trainers and characters that had played a role. They were sort of a brief little afterthought that just occurred that you could do as well. Whereas the real meat of those quests for me were those different, categories of quest lines, and then the culminating quest off of those. I really did like that they did the kind of, bonus quest after that, and then the void quests after that, because it gives you just an incentive, like we talked about when we discussed the void quests, I think, to just quest for questing, to see story. Like if you put your time and you enjoy questing and you want to do that and you want to like level up those base jobs and then do the other stuff, it incentivizes you to do that. Whereas a lot of other content in the game, it's like you got to have whatever. It's like a lot of it is more combat oriented, or all these other things, or turn in this much money, or do this stuff, or gather this stuff, or craft these things. So it's just kind of nice to have quests that are meant to be that, like story quests, that if you spend the time doing them, you get the reward, you get more story.
Stuff.
Yeah. And it struck me, it was kind of surprising, just because job quests for a while have been kind of like a staple, right, of the game. But as I've said many times before, so I won't go into it too much, the level 80 ones were very disappointing to me. They felt very copy paste. It was, oh, where have you been? Oh, you went to the first. That's cool.
That's
Deal
weird.
with this lame story.
Small thing. Yeah.
So I'm a little surprised, but after the last round, like it's fine.
Yeah. I wanted them to either. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I wanted them to either bring them back to the forefront or get rid of them completely, and they went with get rid of them completely. It's a little sad to me, because there's so much lore in the jobs that we won't be touching on, right? There's so much lore. There's so much lore about being a paladin.
On the other hand, though, too, I mean, Yoshida did mention, it's the idea of, if you keep going with these characters, like you've gotten so powerful, like what else are they going to be able to teach you?
They can't train you.
That's fair, Yeah. So maybe in the future they'll have like a new kind of arc for the jobs or something. So we'll have to wait and see what they do.
I would love for the job quest to be us interrogating a mystery about the job, and we're not learning anything. It's just that's the story. There are different stories for each job, and you all do in parallel. That'd be cool. You don't need to train during a job quest. There's so many of them that didn't give you an ability anyway.
I think that's part of why they've kind of started to phase them out, right? Is that you don't need to do them to unlock abilities like we used to, just because it's kind of a detriment to progression to have to stop and do the quest to unlock an ability, or maybe you forget to do it and you don't have that ability at all for a while. So I mean, that makes sense. I mean, they could easily, like, I know chat's been talking about how, you know, Dancer is so ingrained in like Thavner and its culture and stuff. They could totally still have some quests on the side that talk about dancers and stuff. I think that they could do that and that would be fine. So yeah.
I agree. I mean, one thing that we've also seen with these quests, and we've talked about these pros and cons before. On one hand, I do think these job quests are great because, I mean, like you were kind of mentioning, Aldianaux, I think it gives you a perspective into that class, its lore, the feel, what it means to be that. We had even sort of hypothesized at some point in the past, well, if, you know, people can't teach you things, then why can't you just take a journey where you're learning ancient secrets, or you're coming up with new magic, or you're doing, you know, where you get to become the master as opposed to the apprentice. And I think they could have absolutely done something like that. And it's important to note that Yoshida-san did say that as of right now, right, there's not going to be any 90 quests, but that if they were looking to do more of these in the future, they would probably start fresh with something.
Right.
And I think with all of their sort of knowledge now with how these classes have developed and changed, and we've even seen some big things, we don't know for sure, but I assume the summoner quests have been, you know, we had those little changes that were done, but because the whole class has been overhauled now, that's a whole other thing, right? If we have these quests, I think it does also make it a little bit difficult for them if those classes change or if things have to be significantly overhauled for those classes over time. They would just have to structure them in a different way where it wouldn't be quite as, you know, well, we structured all of this around these really important things, and now that class doesn't even have that. So I can see why they kind of shifted away from that. And as long as the other quests replacing it are good and offer us something more about the world, then I'm fine with it. But if they bring them back at some point, I think that would also be really neat, just to see what they could do with them with this much knowledge about the game and how those, you know, classes and those jobs worked or didn't work in the past with all the different quests that we had.
Yeah. They showed us some screenshots of new dungeons. Some of these we've seen before, some of them we haven't. I think I talked earlier, there was one where it was basically like it looked like Thavner's jungle during the when the sky was all lit up, like we kind of saw in the trailer. So
Thavner is so on fire. It's so on fire. It makes me so worried.
Well, you know, we joked about this a little bit, right? When we had the media tour, Square was like, "Hey, we set the weather in Thavner to be clear skies." I was like, "Oh, really? You're not hiding anything, are you?" I'm totally expecting there to be like a phased instance or whatever, or a time progression through main scenario where it's just on fire.
Just like Ilmeg, right? Ilmeg has the fog at first, right?
Yeah.
And then
I think that'd be really cool. Let's see. New trials. They're secret.
Yep.
That's it. The trials secret is all it said. We know that probably Anima is a trial.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, they could just throw us a curveball, be like, yeah, so Anima's a boss dungeon, a dungeon boss in Garlemald, and there's 2 new trials for things we haven't even announced yet. Like, you don't even know what they are. It's probably Anima though. Like you probably like, you know, like we'll tinfoil hat this. You fight Xenos at the end of a dungeon, and then you get into the trial with that's like him and Anima, and who knows.
Who knows?
Yeah, but so there you go. We did get our first looks at Pandemonium. We got to see what was kind of probably like the staging area. Very like reminiscent of like Void Scent, Dunce Scythe, like very it gave me a lot of those kind of vibes. We also got a look at 2 of the armor sets as well for that. So yeah, I'm really curious. It definitely like wasn't like an obvious like this is under Silver Tier Lake, like, so I don't know what's going on. That was I'm still hoping that's the case, but
the gear
looks so good.
It's
very
kind
light.
of like a it's like a crypt. What was it? Crypt Walker? Is that the name of
Lurker? Crypt Lurker.
Crypt Lurker. Kind of
like
similar,
white and clean,
but white. It reminds me of kind of very Grease inspired as well. I don't know. It's kind of in between, but I do know that those weapons have some really cool effects on it that you can't really tell 2D. But those are going to be some glows that people want. Especially that scythe, looking at it.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, when you said it looked like Grease,
did you think of the musical?
Yes.
Okay.
And then my brain sat on that for a second and was like, "You are dumb. It's clearly not based on the musical. Like, it's like, I don't think John Travolta would wear that.
The biker jacket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the weapons definitely have some really cool effects. I like that. I mean, on the sword, you can kind of see what looks like these sort of like rings that I assume would be like magical effects. The scythe has some different like floaty areas and that like kind of lacy bit.
The bits on like the blade, it's given me like, again, kind of like Dun Scythe, right? But like Kingdom Hearts vibes, just with the way the iconography of that.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see more of this.
It is interesting that you brought up the Greek aspect, which I mean, obviously we see through all sorts of stuff from Charlian to, Amarat. I mean, there are a lot of different references to like ancient Greece, even to Hades, which, is a pretty big one. But something that is important is that, so they've announced that it's asphodelos, and asphodel is actually a kind of flower that is a relative of the lily, and ancient Greeks associated it with death and the underworld, where they believed that there was a meadow of these flowers in the Elysian fields in the afterlife.
There's also a flower in the launch trailer.
Yes. So that's something really, I mean, if you're looking for little lore threads to pick up and run with, I mean, we know that like Emet-Selch and Hades, there was some concept of some sort of what we would consider to be kind of like, I guess, the souls of the dead or the river of the dead kind of thing. There's all this sort of parallel. And now to get this as well with Pandemonium, which we know is somehow going to be tied to the ancients and or going down into hell,
well, and who else do we know that has a nice bright white robe? Like this gear.
I mean, the Lady of Light, but we didn't see her affiliated with this at all.
No,
so
but
yeah, it could be ancient.
Maybe this is where she goes shopping.
I'm just waiting for the last wing of it to be called Pandemonium Tartarus, and us all to go, oh, that's where Tartarus is. Oh, I see now.
Well, see, Pandemonium, it's actually a shopping mall. And so the idea, right, was originally they were hoping to like launch it around like Black Friday.
That makes a lot of sense.
Things have shifted.
I
joke about
see
that.
Tartarus.
Yeah.
I could see Tartarus being a part of this, to be honest. I mean, even it's so interesting because even in the letter where Yoshida-san was apologizing for the delay, he says there were so many things that we wanted to tie together in this. There were so many threads that we wanted to bring together. And so I'm sure, like we've talked about many times on this podcast, whether it's loose threads or like the idea of open doors, things that they have left as like, here is something that we could explore in a future plot. I'm sure they went through all of those and they were like, what do we have? What conceivably would need to be wrapped up with this? Do we have future plans for these? What would we want to go through? And I mean, Tartarus is a thing that we've heard talked about, and it would fit with this. So while there's no absolute confirmation, I mean,
I just love the idea of like the team getting together, like going on like a cabin retreat to like write the expansion, right? And they just have a wall that's like a giant murder board. They're like, okay, so we have Tartarus, which is just represented by the dancing robot. And we're gonna take this red string and thumbtack. We're gonna the raid.
Works good.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for the raid. I think it's gonna be. I love the aesthetic so far. It's like the armor is very. It seems like it's almost the opposite of the environment. So I'm really curious how that's gonna play out. Obviously, we don't know anything more than that because Yoshida's not gonna tell us, and that's fine. I was surprised that we got as much of a look as we did, because going into like when we were going into Eden, Eden and Omega, they never showed any of that stuff prior to launch. They're just like, this is gonna be a raid, enjoy.
Right, yeah. Before the expansion, I don't think that they did. I think the last thing we got for Eden was like the desolate with the one flower or whatever. And we're like, what does it mean?
Again with the flowers.
It was super, super vague.
Rook, I see your Nautilus theories and I raise you flower theories.
I mean, why not both? Let's just have both up in here. I do see chat mentioning that Lady of Light does talk about the flowers, so maybe there is a connection there, or she helps guide you into it, or something like that. Which is interesting.
That's the question, right? Because with a trailer, right, they'll take all these clips and visuals. Maybe they go together. Maybe they don't. Maybe that flower was from raid stuff, and they just happen to use some other cutscenes. Maybe the flower is like we're getting a new Crystal of Light during the MSQ or something. Like, who knows?
Case in point being the Gremlin from the Shadowbringers trailer, which I was convinced was like actually going to be a character in Shadowbringers.
It was them itself.
Kind of, yes. But I was just convinced that there was going to be something about these dumb gremlins, or there'd be some actual scene like that where this dumb gremlin is just insulting you. And granted, there is the Fate, but I thought there would actually be a scene like that. And then, of course, there's absolutely nothing about it whatsoever. Not even a little bit.
Sometimes things change. I mean, and it's sometimes they stand out more than others, right? With these CG cutscenes. You look back at 1.0's opening, you're like, oh, where is this place? Well, it was Limsa, and they decided to move the Aetheryte. They were just done with the CG. Or you look at even with Endwalker, which is a little more surprising, but some of the color palettes in Old Charlian in the Numenon are different than in game versus the CG. So I mean, they have to order that, get that stuff worked on way before the game.
One other thing that I did notice that's also different between the CG stuff, we actually, when I was on Lore Lines a few weeks back, we went through and looked at this with the media tour footage so I could confirm the inner ring of seats in the
they're connected and broken up.
Yes,
right?
And they are not, everybody was like off of the CGI trailer, everybody thought there were, I think, 14 seats is what everybody was saying, but in the game itself there are not. The actual seats, there's like 7 or something, or something like that. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but things are different and things do change, and it depends on the teams creating the cinematics, and it's not going to be identical. So again, we have no idea specifically what any of this means. We can only theorize and put our tinfoil hats on.
Right.
Going down the outline here, we will get new treasure dungeons, which is it's a little weird, right? Because we're finally going to Thavnir, which has been the base of the Source's treasure dungeons like forever. This one, not quite as many Thavnir vibes from this. The name, though, is fantastic. It's called the Excitatron 6000, which, that was the name of my imaginary rock band when I was 10. So I'm very excited that they are able to, take this and turn it into something.
Were you the front man with the guitar and also sang?
No, I had the like a box flipped over as a drum.
Okay, so you were the lead as a drummer.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the vibe of this dungeon is. Maybe other people have better guesses. The Excitatron, I mean, that makes me think of technology, which makes me think of Garlemald, but this looks absolutely nothing like Garlemald.
Yeah.
So then next thought.
I'm gonna draw a connection.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at the doors. I'm looking at the railings around the center. Charlian and Labyrinthos?
Yeah, that was my next guess. That it might be something down there or something to do with that.
Goblins and the Charlians have a little bit of a history, at least when they went to New Charlian. Do you think maybe? Because I'm thinking Excitatron sounds gobby to me, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I
hadn't thought about that.
Collaboration.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I want to see. I want to see a collaboration with the stuffy Charlian kind of studium.
Yeah.
And, one of them was like, yeah, we'll make something with the gobbies. What do they want to make? A TV show, like a Deal or No Deal or whatever, right? Oh, man. That's what I want.
I would totally watch like a Gobby or no Gobby. I would watch television programming in Eorzea that had been made by goblins. It would be such nonsense. It would be like as indecipherable as, I don't even know, the Teletubbies, and yet also somehow incredibly intelligent. It would be the weirdest, wildest thing.
I'm imagining Teletubbies and the Tim and Eric show, like put together.
Well, no, with gobbies, right? It would be busy deal or no busy deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Or if it was if the Keykerns are hosting it, it's clink or no clink, clink or no clink clink.
I like it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting one. I'm not entirely sure. The doors are probably the most interesting part to me. They look a little bit like moon, sun, gears.
Doors
kind of make me think of Labyrinthos, but then you have like this kind of nice formal railing around it, which is kind of giving me Charlene vibes. And I mean, there is a color palette of like gray and green in here too. I mean, there's a lot of other colors, but Yeah.
We'll just have to see.
Yeah,
I'm glad we're getting a new one, and that in media tour interviews and things, it was confirmed that there will be another, Palace of the Dead, Heaven on High at some point, because I like that kind of side content. I like those things that you can just go out and do with friends. So it's good to see that we're getting more, and that, people can do that with new tiers and hopefully new delightful rewards, because I always like seeing the new stuff that comes out and then endlessly suffering while I try to obtain it.
This is the purpose of Labyrinthos, is to power the Excitotron 6000.
It makes sense now.
There you go. There's the connection.
They gotta have something when they're in their fallout shelter. This is the thing.
Right? They have their Sharbucks and their Excitotron 6000. and their Nautilus games.
Give the people bread and circuses. That's exactly what's happening.
Now, this would be interesting. Is it possible? Hold on, I'm thinking back.
Uh-oh.
Well, did we have treasure maps? You have to excuse me because it's been a long time since I did maps. Did we have treasure maps that were on the first?
Yes.
In those zones?
Yes.
We did. Okay. Yep. Oh, right, because it's the one that's like Fae themed. All right.
Yep.
All right, never mind.
I can't remember the name. No.
Yeah.
They all have weird names.
Because I was thinking too, I was like, maybe it's on the first, but then I went, no, wait, hold on a minute. We did get those. I just didn't do a ton of them this expansion.
Yeah.
Same.
All right, so that's some of that stuff. PvP, we got our first look at the new PvP mode. This is going to be called Crystal Conflict.
I have to go first and say, my goodness, the little talk that they did at the beginning of this, when they're like, no, PvP is the thing we want to do. Like, we know people like PvP. It's something that we want to do. It's something that we understand there's a community for, and we need to do better. So this is what we're doing. That, for the small and very passionate PvP community, had to feel great. It felt great to me as someone who doesn't interact with it, going, yeah, you're right. This is content that you were behind on, definitely, and they knew, right? They knew it wasn't great. And they're doing something to fix it, and this looks like a whole lot of fun to me. Honestly, as
some
someone
of
who
the
doesn't
stuff
do
that
PvP.
they're doing this, the reward system overhaul in particular.
Yes.
Like, I'm looking at this.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's similar to some things that we've already seen in other games, and I think it's great. But let's go through Crystal Conflict here first. So the idea, this surprised me. It's a 5v5. It's not a 4v4. It's a 5v5.
New rules.
Yeah. So the idea.
Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
Was Overwatch teams of 6 or 5?
It was 5. They changed it to 6, or it was 6 and they changed it to 5. They changed it recently-ish.
Okay.
I
Because
believe it was 6.
I was curious about that, because that was, a lot of people have mentioned some of the parallels with the idea of, like, I think the payload maps in particular with this. And I was like, maybe they based it a little bit off of that kind of comp, which I always did actually find to be pretty fun, in the sense that it really felt like it gave you, like, enough people that if you were able to, like, tip the balance against another side, you know what I mean? It was one of those things where you could, if you were smart about how you grouped and how you came back in, you could then get the upper hand, and there'd be a good back and forth where there were just enough people to have that, but not so few people that like, it just felt like there was a little bit of breathing room with that.
That new mode in Overwatch 2 that's coming out where that's what this reminds me of, is where there's a path and there's like a robot and you have to like get it to your base or the other base.
Payload.
Yeah.
Payload, like, I think genesis of it was Team Fortress 2, I think, which doesn't get the credit for it. Overwatch gets the credit for it.
You're absolutely right. Yes. No, Team Fortress 2 is definitely what, like, set the whole precedent for that kind of thing.
And it looks amazing.
Yeah, it looked really interesting. So the idea is that it's going to be short matches with simple rules that could be played casually. They will remove role-based matchmaking and actions. And then they will add distinctive PvP actions and job-specific adrenaline rushes. So you'll have 2 teams, each team of 5 different jobs, no role restriction. So it's not like you need to have X amount of people or you can't double up or whatever. It's just play whatever the hell you want. And there's going to be casual, ranked, and custom matches available. And they will have skill-based matchmaking, which is nice. And hopefully the matchmaking people are doing
Doesn't
it.
get gamed.
doesn't take forever. And it's one of those things like, yes, you want skill-based matchmaking in this, but you also just want to get people into the matches.
Right.
So maybe that'll get changed depending on popularity. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be popular. We'll have to wait and see. So the basic rules are that you'll have 2 teams with bases on opposite ends of the map. We saw, I think, 3 different maps.
I think so
far. And then you want to compete to claim possession of a crystal that's in the center of the map. Once the team has claimed possession of the crystal, it'll move towards their opponent's territory. And then the team that gets it into their other team's goal wins. So looking at the map, it looks like there's room for, I don't know if it's gonna, you can see kind of points on the map where maybe the crystal stops. But if you're looking in terms of like how many like kind of fights there are going to be, it doesn't look like there's going to be many, maybe 2 or 3, 4 max, like where, everybody gets together and, you see who wins, everybody respawns, gets together. So yeah, I think they're going to be, maybe three encounters like during like an entire match. So yeah, that would be a quick match.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm like, I can't wait to see what the bad word, the meta seems to be, right?
Yeah.
Is it all random, all mid, like talking in some other terms? Or is it, are there going to be skirmishes where people are one person sitting on the crystal, the other people are fighting for the advantage to then push it forward, or who knows, right?
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what it susses out to be, especially with all of the changes. Like, what abilities do we even have, right? Like, what is the summoner going to do that a black mage doesn't do? Like, how are they going to...
Yeah, I mean, there are still going to be jobs, right? So, I mean, they're getting rid of certain things, but they're adjusting other things. Like, they specifically mentioned, like, Dragoon. Like, Dragoon would jump, obviously. So, like, we'll have something that is reminiscent of a jump, right? They'll still have some form of job identity. How far that's going to extend, who knows? Maybe it's just a animation reskinned ability that every other melee DPS has. We don't know yet. But they say in terms of rewards for Crystal Conflict, you'll have ranking rewards for your place, ranking rewards for your tier, and then players will be given titles, achievements, and other accolades for rewards as well. So this is just Crystal Conflict. For PvP overall, they're giving it a pretty sizable overhaul with how it's going to work going forward. So right now they're saying they're calling them series. So series periods will be added, and players can earn series rewards by participating in any PvP content during each series. So think of it kind of like a season, but like the bigger of the two, right? I think was how they had that.
My big question for this, and maybe either of you can clarify, was will these rewards also include things like the special armor sets, that kind of thing? That like it used to be that if you got into the ranked, you would then get...
Yes.
That's what I thought too.
We'll get to that down a little bit further. Yeah. Okay. So they say players may earn series rewards by participating in any PvP during each series. Players can earn rewards by accumulating series XP and raising their series level. If this sounds kind of, as we're going through it, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Think of literally any game with a season pass or a battle pass. Yeah. This is what that is. So you'll be able to level this up, your series level. You'll get special tokens as you increase your level at certain milestones, like, for example, 5, 10, you can unlock gear and mounts and other items. And then when a new series begins, your series level will be reset, right? So once it's a little tricky because Final Fantasy likes to do this thing where they don't use the normal terminology. So like a guild is a free company. A series is what most people would refer to as a season, but they also do have seasons, which it's a little weird, but yeah. So think of it like a battle pass or a season pass, right? These special tokens can be exchanged for different rewards. Tokens will carry over to the next series, so you don't lose those when a new series starts. Previous series rewards will eventually be available via token exchange. So if you don't have the time to PvP during a certain series, if you still get a couple tokens here and there, eventually those older items will become available, which is really good.
It's really nice. FOMO be gone.
Yes, I'm so glad
Yes.
they're doing this. I'm so glad they're doing this. I mean, we've even talked about this in the past when we've discussed PvP in the game, right? It's one of those things where Final Fantasy XIV excels in so many areas. I really do think it has some of the best PvE endgame content like in any MMO, but another really big draw for players is PvP in many MMOs. Is it my favorite thing to always do? No, but sometimes a game catches me. I really do like team play and team efforts, and if a mode is fun and I feel incentivized, I'll do it. But I think for so long it's been one of those things where like PvP in 14, they didn't totally know what they wanted to do with it, and players didn't totally know how to connect with it, and people would go in to get their glamour and stuff, and then they were trying to make it so that queues were faster, so they made it so that you couldn't play a lot of the different types except for whatever was like the big stuff that day, so you would all have to queue into the same thing. And then they removed other stuff, and it just for so long has felt like we needed something in this game where if people decided to engage with PvP and to play PvP, they could just earn something,
Right.
get like a reward, have some momentum that they could build up. And having something like this where people who, you know, maybe just didn't jump into the competitive seasons previously because they were like, well, there's no way I'll make top 10. Now they can be like, hey, even if it takes me longer, I can still play and I'm still going to be getting rewards from these, and those won't expire. And if anything comes out or if there's anything new, I can use them on stuff. And
Right.
that to me was like chef's kiss. It was just so good. It's such a good foresight, as well as all the other changes that they're doing for this. It sounds really good to me. I'm not a
Right.
huge PvP player, but it sounds really good to me.
Yeah, and I
Right.
mean, you know, say what you will, right, about the battle pass, season pass kind of system, right, in general. Like maybe some people love it, some people hate it. Depends on how the game, you know, each game deals with it, right? If you're
Yes.
looking at something like Destiny, if you don't finish it, that's it. You don't get any of that stuff later. Same thing with like Fortnite. Halo's coming out and they're like, we're gonna have multiple battle passes. You can choose which one you want to level and you can get all the crap whenever you want. And that's awesome. I love seeing that kind of innovation for this system. And so the fact that Final Fantasy, right, a series which has typically not had great PvP in their online titles,
Sure.
to see them adopting a modernized kind of reward format gives me at least a little bit of hope that, you know, at least part of this PvP system is, you know, looking good. Like they kind of are understanding where the, you know, industry is right now with this kind of stuff, and it gives me hope. I think there's you know, and the fact that they're doing it too and making it so that it's not that typical FOMO pass, right? Where if you don't play it here, you're going to lose out. The fact that you can earn tokens, they carry over to the next series. You can eventually use it to buy older stuff. That's absolutely.
That's exactly what we want. It's what developers and designers who aren't just looking at their medium, you know, specifically MMOs, right? If you looked at MMO PvP, you might get a different view than if you look at PvP and what people want in general, right? Bringing in that battle pass mentality is looking beyond MMOs and looking at what PvP is good at, right? Like what people want out of PvP. And those games that we've mentioned have been super successful, but they're not MMOs.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't lift or adjust part of it to fit in your MMO. And I love that they're doing this. This really shows that they're looking at the fundamentals of PvP, just what people enjoy, and trying to kind of backport that into 14.
Yeah, so they're already kind of taking these other systems that have worked really well for other games and bringing that in. They're also giving even more incentive into PvP. So there's another system that they're working on, which it's under PvP, but will likely also be used outside of PvP. So they're calling this the calling card system. And this will come out.
Genius.
This is like stupid and amazing. Like, right?
Yes.
This will come out with 6.1. This will allow for customization of profiles that are displayed before a match begins. It's essentially player profile glamour.
Yep.
Right. So
Apex.
You can use any fighting game, you know, think of like Destiny or Avengers with like your emblems, and you know, that's what this is. These will potentially be used outside of PvP as well, as an addition to the profile that displays in the player search window. Backgrounds and profile customization options will be added as rewards throughout the game, some as PvP, seasonal, and series rewards. So I mean, think about you are looking at somebody's profile, you see all their jobs and stuff, but they have like a fancy picture of themselves and like a pretty frame or an emblem or something. Maybe you go and you beat Pandemonium for Savage. You get a special frame for that, right? So you can bedazzle your frame and stuff. It's that kind of stuff that's gonna make people wanna. It's that little bit extra, right? It's that triple triad card drop for people that maybe don't play triple triad but like want to make themselves look good if people are searching for them, or it's just another layer of something to get.
It is. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's also such a big thing for role players in the community. Like this might not apply to everybody, and I mean it depends too, because some people will also be into this who aren't role players, but in particular for a very long time, for those of you who might not know, role players have used things like their sort of player information, like the additional info that you can provide, to link to things like cards, which is basically a website that allows you to, like, a lot of people use it to create character profiles and to show a little something about their character's personality, to talk a little bit about who their character is. If somebody is interested in role playing with them, they get an idea of that person and or what their boundaries are, or how you can communicate with them, or where you could reach them if you want to role play with them at some point. So integrating things into this game, which, I mean, MMOs are really social things, right? There's a reason we like collecting mounts, glamour, special weapons. There's a reason that in all these other PvP games and battle games and stuff like that, they realized that people liked customizing their avatar with different skins or their, profile cards with different, looks, colors, stuff like that. It not only is a testament to just the things you've done in this game or the years you've been a part of it, but it also allows people to, at a glance, kind of get a sense of who you are or that character is, or get an idea or energy about who you are. You know what I mean? Because you can see something that somebody has chosen to put up there, which is going to be, I think, fantastic. It's going to be so good. I already know some people who link their lodestone profiles and all kinds of stuff. So to have something in the game now where they're not just making this PvP specific, but then opening it up hopefully to the broader game as a whole, just allows more people customization to communicate who they are in this space, and however they want to use it, to just have that little extension of themselves, so that when people browse, they can kind of see and something might stand out or jump out to them.
Well, and I think too, with as good as lodestone integration is, you say what you will about like free company forums or whatever, right? But it's a great place to look at character data, and if they incorporate these into the lodestone too, let people download them. There's your new Twitter profile pic, like that'll just spread 14 out further. Like that's a really smart idea. So I'm looking forward to seeing these. I think it's a cool idea. Everything
about this, and the best part to me, because all this stuff we were talking about, role players will want to have it, PvPers want to have it too. You want to show off that I was in the top 10% of Crystal conflict for this season, right? That's what it's going to be used for. But putting them first in PvP means everyone who wants to interact with it has to PvP first, because there's no other place to get them. And guess what? We have nobody PvPing right now. It is an ingenious way to get role players, people who want glams, anybody into PvP for that first season to see how this works, to collect those, because there'll be some in this first season that you'll have to use tokens on later, most likely.
And then also exposing them to that new series progression. And
it's a perfect idea to be like, PvPers, we see all the issues. Like it's hard to translate jobs. We're going to translate them in a different way. You don't have a casual, fun kind of mode. We're going to fix that. And people don't want to do it. Well, we fixed that too. It's
okay. I need to say this. Toy Christopher in the chat. It'd be cool if the cards came up for the command menu at the end of dungeons. Yes. That would be cool.
So good. That would be so good. Because think about how many times somebody, like, you get to the end and you see, you go to commend and you go into the commendations and it's just like, oh yeah, name. Maybe if you're in a dungeon, you see the people right there, so whatever. But it'd be so nice to actually see that card, see a little something about that person, and then be able to comm based off of that.
It's like, oh yeah, the ninja dressed as a chicken. Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah. And you can see the chicken ninja. Like
people are gonna go wild, and if it is connected to G pose, you take a good G pose, you put it as the start of the profile, and then have the frame and any stickers and whatever. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see what this is. We talked about this a little bit earlier. We said we get into it. The Feast. They're removing the feast. So in 6.1, the feast will be unavailable. Preseason play will still be available from patch 6.0 to 6.1. Wolf collars will still be obtainable and tradable. So, you don't need to throw them out. And they say that items previously available in the feast, because there's been a handful of stuff. There's been gear, there's been weapons, there's been mounts.
Yeah.
These will be rolled into the new PvP reward system. So maybe there's a fair chance that for these first handful of series that the rewards will be stuff that technically, yes, has been available before, but there's probably a lot of people out there that don't have them because they didn't have the time or motivation to do the feast, right?
And I could see them just bundling in at those milestones that they're talking about on the battle pass is just what I'm going to call it, right?
Yeah.
You get to a point and it's like you get something new, but you also get something old, that give you more, maybe.
Yeah.
I am so happy about this because there are some items from Feast that I always loved how they looked, but either because at the time I either wasn't playing the game or I just didn't have a team where I didn't invest in Feast.
You didn't want to sit in queue for half an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and honestly, I probably would have tried to do competitive PvP. To be completely honest, I would have, but it always seemed to me whenever I would try or I'd hear, I'd be putting feelers out with people. It was always so tough because people would be like, well, it's really only active at this hour on this day. And you need these teams. And it was so difficult to figure out versus I hate to sort of draw the parallel again, but because it's the game that I had the most experience in kind of in this regard, I did a lot of competitive Overwatch. And being able to just I'm just going to queue into competitive. There it is. I know what the rewards are. I can do this at any time of day. Of course, there were other little things that would start coming up where you'd be like, oh yeah, I should be aware of this, or queues are really bad on these days, maybe just because of who's online or whatever. But it just always felt so awkward to try and get into it. And I was having to sacrifice my other time and other tasks in game to try to figure out how to do this. So I'm really glad that they're moving some of that stuff in, because there are a lot of people that have probably seen those looks who want them and who will try to do some stuff to get them, but who couldn't before. And I do feel a little bit bad for the people who maybe earned those. And that was a pretty hard won thing. Yeah. It's pretty rare that you have that stuff, but I hope that they understand, or, they've had it for much longer. And I think maybe had that moment in the spotlight.
I would like to propose, because we've had issues like this before. White Ravens. Excuse me. Name the new rewards something different from the original.
Sure.
So that they can be distinguishable. Because absolutely correct. The people that have those items work their ass off to get them.
And they deserve.
And they deserve to people should understand that is the case. It's, name whatever, antiquated whatever, or rusty something, right? You can still have it be cool. It can be rusty, whatever. But distinguish that. There's still time for you to do this, Essie. Do it. Do it. You don't want to piss off the hardcore PvP people with the new PvP system. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Make the items distinguishable. Make it good. Yeah.
I wanted to mention, because it was asked about Garo. So Garo, they mentioned that they want to bring it back. They're in discussions with licensing. So once again, that's out of a little bit out of their control, because it's something that they don't fully own. But they understand people want it, and they're going to try and bring it back as well. That's why we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's just licensing.
I mean, and with as long as it was in the game, I can't imagine that there would be any huge issues with them, bringing it back. But like you said, it's not just SE that has a hand in this. So
it could be something weird, like the company was bought by another company, and now that company doesn't do that sort of promotion or something. That's worst case scenario, so let's not think about it that way. But things could have changed. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, but they're working on it.
Yep. Moving down the list here, we have crafting and gathering adjustments. I mean, to no one's surprise, right? We're not going to have anything super drastic, right? That was what Shadowbringers was for. But, everything will have new actions will be added. Some, existing stuff will be adjusted. HQ items are no longer obtainable. We've heard this before. Actions that affected HQ yields will, when gathering, will be adjusted. The requirements for achievements that involved gathering HQ items will be updated. So you'll still be able to complete them. It's not like, get them in now, because then they'll be gone. They'll adjust them. You'll still be able to earn them. The HQ item delivery bonuses for Disciple of Land will be removed. The base rewards will be improved. Going into crafting, recipe progress and quality values will be adjusted in accordance with value downscaling across the board. Again, it's not like you're not getting the same amount of XP. You're not doing less damage. It's fine. The numbers are just smaller.
Everything has been adjusted.
I'm glad that they didn't spend like 50 minutes talking about downscaling again. I almost thought they would. I really did. They also say they will also make further adjustments so that the difficulty of crafting HQ items will not increase significantly in 6.0.
Right.
I mean, because you're not gathering HQ anymore, but you can craft HQ, so you won't have those HQ mats to make that easier. So they're gonna adjust it, and it'll be fine. Just trust them. It'll be fine. For mining and botany, again, right, new actions will be added, existing actions will be adjusted. The name of perception will be adjusted in some languages. English will be unaffected. Greater perception will now heighten the chance of triggering Gatherer's Boon, which will increase your yield by 1.
Right.
Actions that increase the probability of obtaining HQ items will be replaced with actions that can increase the probability of Gatherer's Boon. So instead of higher chances of getting HQ items, you'll just get more, right? Quantity over quality in this case, right?
I do wish that the quality was variable. I saw a comment from Gold Stars. That is one thing that I was worried about as well, because HQ, I mean, you don't need it. Getting the extra yield is nice, but I could see people wanting to get that extra mastery. Maybe it's 1 and 2, and 2 is like you're the best gatherer in the world, but you got to have, I don't know, those multiple success states, right?
Well,
like
and
I did
you
it,
still have
or I did it.
Collectability and stuff too.
Yeah,
so I mean
true.
that's not going
That's
away.
true.
So that's kind of the
true.
The HQ end game for gathering. So there is still that kind of element of getting like a better item.
It's true.
Speaking of which,
fishing.
So we've heard a little bit about fishing before. Some of the things that they've wanted to do. Large-sized fish will now appear in place of HQ fish, and any action descriptions will be adjusted to reflect that. Perception will affect fish collectability. And then they're adjusting spearfishing. So for those of you that might remember, Miner and Botanist got some adjustments to collectability. They got almost kind of like a little mini game window-ish. That's what they're going to add for spearfishing. So now, upon locating teeming waters, players will now directly utilize their harpoon to catch fish for greater immersion. It's basically it's a little mini game where it's like a fish radar, right? If you've ever been fishing, you got the little radar, and there's just like your spear at the bottom, and you just poke it as the fish go by. There's bonuses for successive catches and some other stuff too.
It looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
It's
just a dumb little fun thing. Like it's great. This is the kind of stuff that I love about the anything when they talk about, we're gonna talk about system stuff. It's like, just what crazy random stuff are you gonna pull out of your hat? Spearfishing mini game. Okay.
Oh, but honestly, I think this was needed.
Yeah.
Because like spearfishing previously, granted, again, I am not the expert on all things crafting, gathering, fishing, so, bear with me. But from my understanding, from what I had heard from people, right? Like, there's very little reason to go underwater, 1, just in general, just ever. And then 2, there wasn't, like, really a ton of stuff that you needed to be down there or spearfishing or doing. So to add something in that actually makes this, like, its own unique kind of fun thing that gives you a reason or some difference where, like, if you go and you find this, I think that's actually really brilliant. And I'd love to see them populate some of these different places with more little mini games like this or, unique interactives, because there's just a lot of beautiful space that just is not really used in the game. And while it's really fantastic to be able to go and craft and gather and do all your stuff, and, ocean fishing, I think, has been a great addition, I do think that there are certain things they could add in to just make stuff a little more fun. Like, I spent endless hours fishing in Stardew Valley. I'm weirdly obsessed with it. Everybody else builds these perfect little farms and I'm still just over there fishing. So having things like little mini games that just make it feel more interesting, more engaging, that have different little chances or little things, like, to me, that's what makes a lot of that stuff really fun. And I hope it will become more of an attraction or something that people look forward to.
Yeah. You know, someone was asking about spearfishing and Shadowbringers, and I think, funnily enough, the one place that they went to, or Yoshi went to on the stream, was the one
Ruby
place
Sea.
that I remember. Yeah, the one place I remember from.
I mean,
Stormblood.
Where could you even swim in Shadowbringers? Right? It was Ilmeg and Lake.
Ilmeg. Yeah, Ilmeg has one. I know because I went over there because it's named something. I'm like, what is this? Being someone who really likes the first for my own reasons, and also because of the D&D podcast that we were doing. But I'm like, what is this place? What is over here? I go and it's just a tree. And then I go to gamerescape.com to look up exactly what it might be. And I'm like, oh, it's a spot to fish. All right, I'll never come back here again.
This segment was an infomercial all along.
Who knew? But yeah, I'm thinking about people who are going to get the Steam Deck and playing this little mini game. That'll be fun, right?
That
a lot of people
will
are
be
talking
fun.
about crafting and gathering on a Steam Deck or something like that.
There you go.
And man, this little mini game will be a little nice extra.
Oh, people did mention there is the bog in Rocktika.
Right.
And we do know from what we got to play in the media tour, at the very least, you can go underwater in a couple little areas in Thavnair. So
We'll see.
I still have like horrible flashbacks when I think of underwater in Thavnair, because like that was what I found. Like I found where you could go underwater in like the last 10 minutes of our playtime. I'm like, oh, you can go underwater. There better not be anything down here. I don't have a lot of time to look around. Okay, so there's also going to be adjustments for leave rewards for crafters and gatherers. The amount of gil rewarded per leave quest will be adjusted in light of gil inflation. So the XP and gil rewarded by tradecraft and fishing leaves requiring a large number of items, it's currently too high, so it will be reduced. And then the XP and gil rewarded by certain other leaves will be increased. The XP values, right, again, may appear reduced in some cases because of the downscaling, but like it's fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they're nerfing coffee biscuits.
For nerf.
Yep.
Make them now. If you're gonna make them now.
You have time. You have some extra time now.
Yeah, you have some extra
farm
time.
them.
Coffee
Turn them into the
biscuits.
leave.
Yeah. We know that economies are very important, and this is the only time I'm going to say these words on a podcast because I want to get into this kettle of fish. But economies are important. Just ask New World right about now. So, it's important that they watch this.
I know just enough about it to be like, ooh,
yeah,
savage.
So yeah, it's good. Please adjust.
All right, moving into system adjustments. So required and earned XP downscaling. Like we knew this, right? All the numbers, right? Classes, jobs, retainers, trusts, and NPCs will be affected. The time, number of duties, etc. will remain unchanged. So again, the numbers are decreasing, but the value of those numbers is staying the same. If you needed to run 4 dungeons to level up before, you'll still run 4 dungeons to level up. Like it's fine. Don't nobody panic.
Gonna be okay.
The one kind of issue with this is going to be for people that have like mid-level XP. So like if you're, level 55 and a half, your XP will reset to just 55.
Yeah.
Because they have to, with the way that they're working with the numbers and the downscaling, they have to overwrite the database and stuff. Yoshida joked that like, yeah, I mean, we could like keep everybody at their, their halfway point or whatever, but it would take like forever. It would take like 3 months of the server being down as we go in and like manually do this. So they're not going to do that. You'll lose whatever progress. So if you're like super close to a level, go knock out a couple like Beast Tribe quests or something and finish that off before the expansion drops.
I can definitely tell you that you don't want them to try and make this work. You do not want them to try and mess with that in a database, especially when it's not online and they can't test every single person. Like some people would be like 5 levels in. You'd log in and downscaling wouldn't work because it was in between, and you'd be like, oh yeah, well I guess I'm level 2. I don't know how that happened, but something overflowed in a certain direction and everything broke.
Yeah, go kill 5 monsters. You'll be back to level 5 in no time.
Yeah, 3 weeks is is a good estimate, most likely.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
that's a lot.
So it is what it is. You know, it's when they want to make these changes, right? And again, this is to like future proof the game. So if you're close to leveling on anything, get that last little bit of XP in.
You know, people have said round up, but if you're not online and you don't level, there might be some weirdness, right? You, like I said, you log on and you have enough experience to level, but you haven't leveled. Do you hit another mob? They don't want you to have to do that. Like, that would be weird. They can't force you to level up behind the scenes, and if they did, I don't know what might break. The database is the end of the process, not the start.
This is the easiest, most painless way for them to do it. So that's how they're going to do it, and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
They talked about the new elegant tomestones that are coming out. So we will have 2 tomestones. The first one will be aphorism, and the second will be astronomy. So aphorism will be that first one that you get that you can just grind your heart out on. Astronomy will be added 4 weeks after patch 6.0, and that'll be the one with the cap. They did show off the gear for aphorism, and the armor is FF4 glam.
Mm-hmm.
So you all enjoy that.
It looks so good. I mean,
It does.
I actually haven't even played 4. Sorry, everybody. My bad. Probably should before Endwalker. But I really, really love the classic Final Fantasy designs. I love the color palettes. I love Amano's art. I love so many of the things that are so iconic to the especially earlier years of Final Fantasy as a franchise, and a lot of what's even stayed there in some way, shape, or form. So I've been hoping they would do more sets like this back since Crystal Tower. I was hoping we would get more stuff that was kind of in line with that, because it is a little wacky. It's not going to be to everybody's tastes. It's fantastical. And yet that's what I love about it. Like, I love that it's so distinctive. It feels so Final Fantasy to me. And it's something where even if you maybe haven't, I don't know, played the game that it came from, it still feels really unique visually and stylistically to this game and this type of world. I just love it. It's good.
Yeah.
You can be a spoony bard. That's what I love.
You can be a spoony bard. I love this. I mean, I remember thinking back when they said that the gold saucer was coming. I figured that's where we would see this type of gear, right? It's like the perfect fit for it. Never really did get like the old like FF game costumes or whatever out of gold saucer, right? But yeah, it's cool to see this. It's cool to see that it's from the first Tomestone. So you can grind this up, get the glamours in and everything. The other really like awesome change that they're making with Tomestones is that the number of Tomestones needed for weapon exchange will be reduced from 1,000 to 500. So that's so good. I love that. I love
real
that.
Good.
That's just respect for our time, honestly.
It is
just showing
and
showing that
it's
they
respect
have that
for time,
respect.
but it's also, I think too, it's that understanding, right? As we, as the game goes on, as people stick with the game, it's that idea of like people probably have more than one job that they would like to gear.
Yeah.
Let's not make that the biggest time sink in the world, right? And it's why relic steps get removed right after you do that first weapon, because it's like, yeah, we know you like Delibrum Regine. We know you like grinding, 50, 60 different like raids, but we're gonna just remove that step altogether. Make it a little less crazy for you.
It'll feel great. Oh, I'm sorry. It'll feel great for people who are just.
She's ready to move on.
I know. I'm sorry. It'll feel great for people who are trying out Reaper or Sage and go, yeah, it's not for me. And they already bought the weapon because they were trying to keep up. You know what I mean? Or people who realize they want to switch. It's great. Yes, now we can move on.
Yes, enough of that, and now to the real important thing from this entire live letter. Nothing else matters, but everyone, we are getting more hairstyles for Vieira. And I would just like to thank all of you for your continued support through these trying times. If you were a fellow Vieira player, you did great, you hung in there. If you bailed, we side-eyed you a little bit because some of us hung in there this whole brutal time. But at the same time, we understand because it was rough and it did suck. And now we're going to be able to actually get to, it looks like, where at least the hairstyles that exist in the game and several of the ones that are paid with real money. So I feel very good about this. If The 2-week delay was because they were literally just putting in Vieira hairstyles, which is not the case. But if it were, I would also be okay with this. I would be very grateful. So this is amazing. And Fusion, you can actually talk more about it if you want. But I just want to say that every single one of these buns on this page that I'm looking at right now are beautiful and their hair is on point. And I'm so happy that we made it all to this day. Congratulations, everybody. Lady Vieira finally have hairstyles. Though I have a bit of a note about the fact on here that male Vieira hairstyles are not limited because they were designed to just work, which immediately makes me go, well, why did we not design the other ones to just work from the get-go then?
I think they had to learn.
They did have to learn, I think.
I think they had to learn. And I hope that them saying that there means that they buried the lead and they fixed it for female Vieira, but that doesn't mean that, right? It doesn't mean that they fixed it for female Vieira.
I mean, maybe they couldn't, right, at this point.
Yeah.
The models had been made, but this does give me a little bit of hope for female Hrothgar going forward, right?
Yeah.
So that's nice. So again, these are only for female Vieira. They will be available at 6.0 again. Male Vieira hairstyles shouldn't have any limitations because of the way that they were designed. So yay.
Yeah.
Hrothgar hairstyles will come at patch 6.1.
I see in chat. I see in chat too that Neff mentioned that they also talked about how they were working on creating a pipeline so that it wouldn't be this kind of huge issue again for trying to just get these hairstyles on buns, so that hopefully they'll be able to bring in all old hairstyles, and then moving forward hairstyles will just be adapted for them, which I, again, am so grateful for.
This pipeline should have been there before.
I know, but still, this is all really important stuff that absolutely needed to be dealt with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially with these being the last 2 races. We've talked about it just beyond ever needing to talk about it again. You know, it's an issue that I will be very happy to never have to talk about ever again on this
without
podcast.
Bringing up Vieira hair or hats.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's where we're at right now. Also, if people are out there wondering what kind of new scripts we're gonna get, they're like, man, what color? We've had yellow, we've had white, we're getting purple. Purple
Regal.
Purple scripts. So if you're into purple and you like scripts, boy, do we have some great news for you. You're getting purple scripts.
That was the whole slide. That's basically what that slide was.
Purple scripts.
There you go.
That sounds like a gang name or something. The Purple Scripts.
I mean, yeah, because of the kind of second. I'm thinking of Purple Drank as well. You know, just gonna be real there, and that's fine.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of us getting at least RP groups together to form street gangs based around colors of scripts. That's something I never thought would happen, but now I kind of want to happen in Final Fantasy XIV.
Like, we need so we have the snap emote, but we need like the, we like the West Side Story like
we need
emote.
West Side Story style script brawls in the streets.
Look,
I mean,
Yoshida, I know you love Steven Spielberg. He's got the West Side Story coming out. Where's the West Side Story 14 collab?
Let's do it.
Let's go. One of the other things they talked about, we heard a little bit about this from the media tour. They updated the achievement window. This was one of those things. I heard about it after the fact. So I was like, hey, did you guys see the new achievement window? I was like, no. I didn't think to open the achievement window. Silly me.
It was not on the list of things that they said that they changed.
Yeah,
so we're not going to look at it.
Randomly, like, let's see if they changed a window layout. So now the achievement UI will have tabs for near completion and recommended. And they've redone the entire look of this now, so it looks kind of like a journal, like the Warrior of Light is keeping a journal. I mean,
like Wondrous Tales too.
Yeah, it looks really
cool.
That
same theme.
Yeah, I love the look of it. Group pose can now be activated while playing an instrument.
I
expect 90% of these screenshots to be with that Fender guitar.
Oh yes, Oh yes. If you got it.
As soon as that came out, I tried to take a really great picture. I'm like, yeah, let's G. Oh, I can't G pose. Ooh, all right. Well, move the thing and crop the UI out.
Yep.
Yeah, so there you go. The company action back on your feet will be replaced with an action that extends sprint duration within cities. I'm sure there's going to be some people that are very upset about that.
Yes, absolutely.
But, hey, sprint duration within cities.
Yes, I know. Back on your feet is kind of secretly great for Prague. I mean, it's not even secret. But honestly, I mean, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares?
Aldianaux's like, but like, to be real,
I'm over here. I'm over here
No
with
way.
my Hermes sandals, feeling very targeted right now.
Yeah.
How dare you take this effect?
You know, people are like, oh, the min-maxers, the world firsters are going to be mad about this. No, they're going to be like, okay, don't die.
I mean, yeah, it's already one of those things where, honestly, for the most part, right? If you're trying to optimize, if you're trying to have the fastest, smoothest run possible, not dying is like number one basic.
I'm gonna let you guys
doing.
in on something. So I have this strategy with my raid group. We call it the Biako strat. So the trick is when you're doing any fight is to
you try really, really hard not to touch the balls.
I mean, although sometimes some balls in particular encounters should be touched in a very particular order, only when they're ready to be touched.
It was worth it to see you laugh, Fusion. I was hoping. I was like, I'm like, Fusion laugh right now.
Now I'm thinking of the dev panel at FanFest. You can do so much with an orb.
Fusion, please, sir, may I press my button?
Thank you.
Yeah, I have that. I don't get to press it a lot.
It's a good day.
What the hell was I even talking about?
You're talking about how you do Biako strat.
Biako strat.
Right.
So the strat, and this can apply to any fight. It's a solid strategy for winning. You make the enemy lose its HP before you do. And that's how you win the fight.
I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty solid. I mean, it's a revelation.
Usually I just scream and press my buttons in my order and hope that no one else has done anything wrong, basically. But yeah, I could look at the HP of the boss every once in a while. That could help me.
Well, you gotta follow the, KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Just
that's right.
Lower the enemy's HP before your HP goes to 0. Like that's
really
done.
Yeah.
Don't need to worry about weakness if you didn't get weakness.
This has been your pro tips with Fusion X. Thank you for joining us.
You don't even need healers. You don't need healers, honestly. You just gotta just burn so fast that the enemy just dies before you take too much damage.
You guys got second wind. Put that shit on the hotbar.
Yeah.
You're fine.
I have physics.
Yeah.
No, Physic doesn't do anything. No. Do you have like second wind on Scholar or on Summoner?
No.
He's
what are you good for then? What are you good for then?
Dying.
He's only got first wind. Well, what's about second wind?
I don't think they know about second wind.
Okay. What even is this show anymore?
No.
Achievement UI update.
Items.
That's where we were. Oh, back on your feet. Yeah.
Items containing a random minion or mount will be added to the Grand Company Seal Exchange. Oh, great. A use for Grand Company Seal. You may also get fireworks.
That makes me want to die inside.
Why?
I mean, our off tank, every time we pull in T, they use a pinwheel every single time. So that's how we know how many times we've pulled, because they had a full stack. And so now they're like, oh yeah, I've used like 300 of them or whatever.
There's got to be some way to get our dearly beloved Indigo stars.
That's big brain. I didn't even think about using those to keep track. I mean, obviously there's other ways you can do whatever you want.
Sure,
but I mean, that's actually super funny. I just delete them all because they fill me with a burning rage anytime I see them. So
all I can think about now are
the
ones that we got. Was that what Starlight last year, the year before, where it's like just the numbers?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to be real. I was doing that live on stream, and I, much like a child at Christmas, truly thought there was going to be something other than sparklers in the final box of this thing. And every time we go through the story, we do the quest, I do all the voice. I'm like, and now we're going to see the next one. It won't be sparklers. And it opened, and I was like, it's sparklers, but the last one won't be. And I got to the end, and I have never felt such a crushing, like, Santa Claus is not real kind of moment. I didn't even grow up thinking Santa Claus was real, but I truly, as a grown adult, believed that last box would have some kind of prize in it.
And you just go out, you look up the chimney, it's like, what, did you run out of coal?
Yeah.
What is picking coal? It was devastating. It was devastating to me, and I still have not recovered, and I don't know what they're going to do for Starlight this year, but so help me, it had better not involve sparklers. I can't do that again. I cannot go through that again.
This reminds me, too, while we're talking about seasonal events. So with the original schedule for Endwalker, we were going to have a somewhat timely All Saints Wake event. Obviously, we're not going to have that in the middle of December now. So they're going to move it later, kind of after things have settled down post-launch. You know, Yoshida's saying, Halloween, what's Halloween? We don't have that on Hydaelyn. What do you... Yeah. So we're just... We'll still get it. They talked about having some kind of like another instance dungeon thing, something where you could kind of like hang out in and stuff. So we're still going to get that because the team, you know, put work into it. It's just going to be a little late this year. So and now since we're done, we're gonna move on from talking about balls to talking about ear fetishes.
I'm doing an interpretive dance. This is the immersion spatial. This is the immersion spatial audio experience. I'm so immersed in audio. It's like I'm in an ocean of audio.
I know immediately what I'm going to use it for.
Okay.
It's just let the good times roll with Bahamut, right? Like, I'm gonna just make sure that I am just playing like answers nonstop. You know, I'm gonna play the backing track of the Coils. You know, Bahamut's Bouncy Castle. I think it's what it's actually called.
That is
so,
it.
Yeah,
that's
I'm gonna have fun.
That's the official name. Yeah. So this is Embody Immersive Spatial Audio. If you're it's recommended that you wear headphones while listening to this podcast. So this is going to be support for this technology from Embody. It's called Immersive Spatial Audio. This is going to be Windows only. If you are playing on PlayStation or Mac, remember this game's on Mac? No, Windows only. So what this is, it's an original sound add-on. It is an officially supported third-party add-on for Final Fantasy XIV.
First of its kind.
That will bring, wow, that's a typo. That bringers 360-degree audio. Whoops. Can you tell I wrote this at like 1 a.m.? It'll bring 360-degree personalized spatial audio to 14. They've been working on this for a while. I think at one point, Soken said they've been working on this for like 2 years. And he's also mentioned too, like that ever since 2.0, like this is something that he's been wanting to have, which I get little like, you know, pieces of that because we've talked about before, you know, like when orchestrions got added, you know, the idea that like it's got to have like positional-ish audio because of just how the sound system is built. Like this was something that Soken considered when he came onto ARR and was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. So to have this kind of finally be realized, like that's really cool. So basically what you do is you take a picture of your ear and you send it to this place and they're like, all right, here's your like equalized like algorithm or whatever. And you plug it into your program and your headphones are better for your ears specifically. Yeah. So
this definitely sounds like some really weird internet scam from somebody who just really wants a lot of pictures of ears.
So I saw that tweet so many times last night. The other fucking hysterical part of this was they have like a little commercial that, you know, like an ad, right, that they filmed with. It's got Soken and this person, maybe they work for Embody or maybe it's an actress or whatever, talking about how it works. And she comes on and it's cringe as hell. I'm not gonna lie. Like when she shows up, she's talking about it, and it's just like, okay. Afterwards, Yoshida's like, that kind of seemed like it was an April Fool's joke video.
Yeah. He immediately took the piss out of it.
Oh, gee, like it's hysterical that you're saying what we're all thinking, but also like maybe you're not the person that should be saying that.
Definitely what I want.
Like, who let that get? What was that?
He's like, I was busy doing final checks and what? Soken.
You can't let Soken just take over. That's what happens.
What I wanted to say about the ear picks, an ear is, the shape of one is very kind of reminiscent of another shape that we always talk about, the nautilus. And
thanks, Aldiano. Thank you. Yeah, the inner ear is in and of itself a nautilus. Yeah,
exactly right. So it just all goes together.
It's all part of the conspiracy, man. It's all connected.
If you send in a picture of your ear so that they can make a custom nautilus to fit inside, you actually will get bonus Easter egg, like dialogue lines and musical cues in the game that reveal the actual secrets of Final Fantasy XIV. And then, like, if you get all of that and then you process it and it's all reversed. So you have to like put it through audio software and then you'll learn the secrets of all of Final Fantasy XIV so that it'll play in actual like forward to backwards kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. They've been telling us this the whole time. Cruise Chaser Mount, what does the song say? Forward and back.
And then forward and back.
Yeah,
exactly. This is the secret. This is the truth.
And
the truth is real.
I mean, look, the first time I interviewed Yoshida-san, he said he's a big fan of X-Files. The truth is out there. So
exactly.
There you go.
All along.
So how this is going to work, you do pay for this. It is a one-time thing. It is not a monthly fee. They wanted to make that very clear. It's not a subscription. So how this will work, with Endwalker Early Access, there will be a 14-day free trial period that'll begin. So you can pre-purchase that, and you'll get the benefit of saving 20% on all orders, and you'll get an early experience before the official release. The official release will be with patch 6.05, and again, that's going to be January 4th. And it will be $19.99 for the US, so for $20. So
I'm doing it.
I'll
I'm
try it out.
doing it.
Like
not even a question.
It's $20. What do I have to lose? You know what I mean? Like I might as well, like, whatever. And it wasn't the video that sold me on it. I'll be very clear.
Yeah. You'll be laughing because you'll be raiding, right? Because remember, the 4th is the Savage content as well. You'll be raiding, and people will be like, "How did you know to dodge that?" I heard it behind me.
Oh God!
Right? Exactly. There we go.
Pay to win by taking pictures of your ear. Ear to win. Ear to win. Everything's got a price. Ear to win. Yeah, I don't think I probably won't be raiding new tier. I don't know. We got some people moving schedules, and it's we'll see what happens. Yeah. But anyway,
I have this raid group. I'm running with right now, and there's like 2 people in it. Like I don't want to name names, but their names are Zanidra and Aldianaux. And it's agony. It's miserable. So I don't know if I'm gonna be raiding either next tier, but I guess probably
the Byakko strat.
Not touch the balls.
Jesus. Just the way that you just say that, you're just like so matter of fact. Don't touch the balls? Oh my God. Yep. All right.
No, I actually love raiding with them. They're great, so.
Contractually obligated to say that.
Yeah, I'm forced to say that. Someone please free me.
Glenn tuned in just in time. Welcome, Glenn.
Welcome.
Glenn, if you want to make some kind of little short clip of this video, feel free to use that. She said it earlier too, so there's plenty for you to
make sure it is not lost to the sands of time. We definitely have to keep it.
All right, moving down to housing updates. Man, at this point, it was probably getting close to midnight. I was like, okay, we're almost done, right? No, they still got more to talk about. So again, this will be 6.1. We will get the new residential district Imperium. That'll be based on the Firmament from Ishgard Restoration. So there will be 24 wards and 24 subdivisions. So that's I think it was a little over 1,400 houses per world that we'll get. You'll be able to look at the housing wards in patch 6.0, but you won't be able to purchase anything until 6.1. They also showed a new housing glamour that's really cool. It's if you guys remember the kind of like blacksmith armory glam they did a while back that like really changed the outside of the house. They're doing one that has like a kind of like a restaurant theme where it's got like kind of like an outdoor patio with an awning and it's got some tables and chairs and stuff. It looks really cool. So if you're one of those people that has like a restaurant or like a cafe house, yes,
Yeah.
very yes.
It's cool to see them. Obviously, they have some new tools or some new ways to get around this because they were never this involved. And it's cool to see them kind of evolve their tools at the same time as we're playing, right? Because you look at this and you're like, no way that was possible back in Heavensward, right? Like just them creating this and then having it be customizable still a little bit on top of what there's already there. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. The only downside with this and the armory glam that they put out is you can't really put anything on these kind of like patios. There's you can kind of nudge them onto like the edge or maybe you can like there's some interesting like glitch things you can do,
floatings and things like that.
Like I have like a floating deck. If you toggle between the houses and it'll like pop stuff up because of where the geometry and stuff is. But I'll be curious to see what can be done with this one. But I think I love to see stuff that's so different than what we've had before. It's not just like here's another house, this one has flowers on it, or here's another house, this one looks like a paisa instead of a carbuncle. Like those are cute, but like I love this stuff. So I hope that there's more of these.
It's also just so helpful to people who are really into housing or role play or anything like within customizing their houses because, oh my gosh, the outdoor housing item slots have been so difficult to juggle for so long. I mean, there's always this bigger debate of housing in Final Fantasy XIV about getting more housing slots and the housing plots themselves and obtaining them and all kinds of things. Because there's so many intricate, fascinating, really, really cool builds that people can do, but you're always like on a crunch for what like items you have to keep or sacrifice. And particularly outside in yards, it was really rough. If you were trying to have some kind of, more detailed setup out there, you could really only have a handful of big items. So to do something like this, where they're creating these like smaller kind of settings, scenes that are attached to these houses, and that free up all those slots, so it's not like you're having to put down every single plate of food and every single goblet of wine that's on these tables and all of the chairs, because again that would have eaten every single thing that you had. So it's really, really smart how they're sort of deciding on these different settings that are oftentimes used in RP or RP cafes and stuff like that too, but that also I think just give you something that's different that doesn't take up a million housing slots.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when I see something like this and the side of the building has like all these chairs and tables and stuff, like I'm assuming you can sit in the chair. It would be really weird if you couldn't, right? Maybe semi-understandable because of how it is, but like any group that's doing like a big, I think about like Allure or, any place that has these kind of like big like get-togethers or parties or, for RP in these houses. Like something like this is really cool because it doesn't take up any extra item slots outside. That's awesome. I love that.
So good.
So I can't wait to see what they come up with next for this kind of like drastic exterior change. These things are fantastic. I love what they've been doing with them. So couple housing bits here before we get into how lottery stuff will work. Relocation to land that is not yet ready to purchase will no longer be available as of 6.0. So if you have a small house and a bigger plot becomes available, sucks to be you. You can't move into it. I hate that so much. So much. Granted, the likelihood that you see an available plot that is larger than your current house is probably like close to zero. Somehow I upgraded to a medium. Don't ask me how. I don't know how it happened. But yeah, like the likelihood that you'll actually be able to relocate to a larger plot is so small anyway. So
Yeah, in that regard, it does kind of suck, right? That if
Yeah.
you're just trying to get like an upgrade on the sides of house and like you've really been trying to get one, not being able to have that little like leg up,
Yeah.
it is really frustrating, especially when, you know, you might be super into housing or something like that, and it's so next to impossible to get any of those large plots or anything that, you know, you might want to actually have for whatever reason. But again, that's kind of a bigger problem with just the way this entire system was made in the first place.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can't just like upgrade your own plot to large or upgrade your own plot over time and money, or
Right.
it's just a really unfortunate fundamental thing that's just no good about this system. But on the other hand, I am really glad that it evens the playing field, because it did really suck to be like staking a place out and then have somebody just whenever they felt like it that was going to relocate saunter on up and just take it, and you're sitting there like, okay, yeah, I've been here 5 hours. That's fine.
Steven, I do want to bring this up because this is a really good point that I haven't really considered, because again, this was like midnight last night. I was barely processing enough to like type this up.
Right.
The amount of people I've seen transfer to a small is unreal, because there's like 20 people trying to get the house and then they just jump in and like claim it. Yeah. So don't let people relocate to the same size plot. Let them upgrade.
Yeah.
But don't let them like, I'm just going to take this house because there's a bunch of people
Just
waiting
to
and
block it.
whatever. Yeah. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's still, I hate to say it because I'm right there with you, Fusion. Like,
Sure.
we've been trying to get a large for our FC and it's super frustrating. But I also do think that, like, if there's a plot, anyone should be able to get it. You know what I mean? It's like, the difference between somebody who does have a plot and wants to upgrade to a larger
That's
house
fair.
and somebody, you know, who like doesn't have
Yeah.
a plot at all and wants a larger house. It's like they both want that larger house. And to me, it's just a matter of, yeah, like one person was lucky enough to get it, or the other person didn't have enough money, or they just, you know, have never been able to get one or lock one down, or it's so tough because, like, again, it's just like a fundamental flaw of this entire system.
Yeah.
That we have people competing for it in these really silly ways,
Yeah.
as opposed to just like being able to get a house whenever you have the money in your own home instance or whatever, and upgrading it to whatever size you're able to, which would be the best possible way, I think, to accommodate everybody. But as it is, I think the decision to make it completely neutral, like everybody is fair game for this plot. You know, if you already have a house and you don't get this, well, then you still have your house, right? But like,
Yeah.
everybody has a chance at this and everybody can possibly get it. Because for those people who like have never had a property or have been trying for ages too, it's just as frustrating for them to not
yeah.
have anything.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
it's like,
You know,
I get it. It's just, it's not ideal for anybody,
Yeah.
you know?
This whole discussion is like so irritating, because it's like, okay,
Yes.
so this is how we're going to do this, and lottery system and all this crap. And I'm like, just redo the entire system. Like, that's
yeah.
the issue. It's not like,
Yeah. I mean, you know, I threw New World under the bus because of the economy, but I have to say that housing in New World has kind of a neighborhood feel, but also you only see your house in that slot. You all can have the same slot.
Final Fantasy XI is almost 20 years old. It has instance housing.
Yeah. So
Like, come on.
there are ways. I really like the New World style because it keeps the neighborhood
Yeah.
kind of, but also allows you to see what you want to see, and you pick if you're visiting someone who has the same plot as you, then you can see their plot.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, and I don't know, I kind of really like it, but that they had that in mind when they started, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's really it.
I mean, it would be fantastic if at some point, and again, like, there's a lot of stuff that they'll probably be able to do in the future. We're trying to get through this big expansion. There's a lot of story,
Right.
a lot of other things that have to be tied up, wrapped up, a lot of other features, you know?
Yeah.
But I really hope that this is something, it's obviously something they're aware of being an issue, but I really hope at some point they get the time and resources and team to just completely rework the housing system from the ground up.
Right.
And of course, that's going to carry its own problems. And we've talked about this at length about other, you know, on other podcasts. But it's one of those things where I honestly think at this point, with the player base that they have and the amount of people, and with this being a major feature of the game, and it, you know, with all sorts of stuff that you can craft and or get from various achievements and rewards and duties and all kinds of stuff to put in there, it's like not everybody's going to want to use this, but almost every modern MMO has a more functional feature of this. And I do think that while 14 has an incredible housing system, the amount of people that are really allowed to engage with that is a ridiculously teensy amount of this player base.
The game, right, last we heard, has over 24 million registered accounts. So they are fixing the housing issue by adding 1,400 housing plots per world. That's nowhere near enough.
Right.
Like the whole problem is that there are a finite amount of houses that you get per world. Find a way to instance it. Keep the neighborhoods. Some people love the neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Some of us could care less. Like, I just want a big house to put all my shit in. Let people come into it. Maybe they need to be in my party in order to access it. Whatever. But like, and again, if we're not complaining about like Viera hats, we're complaining about housing. That's what we do here. So I'm gonna stop with that. Let's talk about the lottery system. This is something
a good change.
It's a good change. Some of it is a little weird. It came across as a very obscure way to remove Gil from the economy. But let's get into this. So in 6.1, we will have the lottery system for housing. So to enter the lottery for a private plot, your character must have at least one class or job at level 50 or above. You must hold the Grand Company rank of second lieutenant or above. And another character on the same service account must not own a plot on the same world, though you may enter the lottery for the purpose of relocating to a new plot.
Right.
If you want to enter the lottery for a free company plot, your character must be a member of a free company, obviously, with authorization to purchase and relinquish land. The free company must have at least 4 members and be rank 6 or above. Another character on the same service account must not own as buyer an FC plot on the same world, though you may enter the lottery for purpose of relocating to a new plot. The lottery schedule will be shared across all worlds and housing areas. And so how they're going to break this down, there's 2 periods. So you'll have the lottery period. During this, each player may only enter the lottery for 1 plot of land during this entry period. You pick 1 house.
Yep.
That's it. Entry of the lottery will take place at each empty plot's placard, where players can view the number of entrants. So you can kind of see like what your odds are going to be. Players must pay the full price of the plot upon entry. Unsuccessful players will be refunded in full. But you got to go to the placard to get the money, because in a game that has a mail service, it's apparently too complicated to just send you your gil in the mail. Players cannot withdraw after entering a lottery.
I bet they hit the problem of the maximum gil you can send in a mail, and they didn't want to break it.
Did mention it. I was on Twitter. I'm like, just send it in Mogmail. And then like 10 seconds later, she was like, so you're probably wondering why we're not sending it via Mogmail. Let me explain. I'm like, thanks.
I had gone to sleep, so I didn't know that you said that.
Yeah, they talked a little bit about it's system stuff. There's lots of numbers, and they can't.
Yeah, that
but
makes sense.
It's probably like the core of it, honestly, is probably just you can't send X amount of money, and they can't change that. So after this lottery period, you'll have the land acquisition period. You'll be able to confirm the winning entrant via the plot's placard. So you'll have to go to the house, check it, see if you won. Winners must claim possession of their land within the land acquisition period. Both the lottery period and the land acquisition period, they said, are like a few days. So you have time. If you don't claim it, it'll be forfeit, and you'll only get 50% of your gil back.
Yep.
Like I said, this seems just like a really obscure way to remove gil from the economy. That's all this lottery system feels like to me. Players who did not win the lottery will receive a full refund within a limited time frame. So if you don't get it in X amount of days, you don't get the refund at all. So they're just hoping that we need to get some gil out of the economy. What can we do? Lottery system on houses, and we don't give them their money back if they lose, or they don't claim it in 48 hours. Yeah, that works for me. It just seems weird in some regards. It's fair. It's more fair than the current system.
It's definitely more fair.
But it still sucks because it's still a finite amount of plots.
My question is, what happens? Someone wins it. They don't claim it. It's refunded 50%. Who cares? What happens to the house? The second
It goes.
There's
back,
not a second draw. It goes back into the.
There's
up.
another
Yeah.
draw. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
don't think they give it. They don't like give it to the next person.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
It's
So
like-
the idea is that they envision houses being bought like gradually, which then I mean makes me wonder. Like,
Here's a problem I have.
okay.
You want this house. You have all your friends try. You don't win. They do. Don't buy it. Yes, you lost some money, but the house is back up for the next lottery. Repeat and repeat and repeat until you get what you want. Now that's losing money, but with the prices of houses in the gray market, you would not be losing much. So I think they have a little bit of work to do on that one. Immediately when I saw it, it's a little terrifying.
They also have mentioned that there will be logs of this stuff.
Yeah, so they have to watch
if there are people trolling this kind of stuff.
Yeah. They need that secondary system.
And it's interesting too, because during this they were talking about and there also might be players that like put the money down for the house and then decide they don't want it. Fucking who is getting a house, has the money to enter the lottery, and then is like, nah, I don't want the hardest thing to get in the game. Who are these players that you're thinking of?
I mean,
what?
I'm sure somebody would do it. I'm
what?
sure.
I am not in the gray market because I don't want a house, but being adjacent to it, there are houses flying around for like 400 million gil. And yeah, that 24 million for a large, I lost half. Okay. That's less than 10% of all I have. So that's why I'm a little bit concerned, because if you really want that particular plot and you're one of those type of people, you will do anything to get it. People have spreadsheets. People have, an army of clickers for the placard. We just have to make sure, that it is equitable, right?
Yeah.
It could really give you a leg up if you just have a bunch of people who don't care about losing half of a small house. I'll give you the money back in one mail, right? Maybe. So it's something that they do have to watch, and I know that they will be. It's just a little bit weird.
So the whole system, like, it's just like, it feels like they could have avoided this if they just fixed housing. Like, and I know, like, right, that's the blanket statement. Just fix housing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, obviously fix housing. It's so simple. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how this is received, and once we kind of get hands on with it. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. I don't know if we mentioned we did talk about this last episode though. We did ask Yoshida about the lottery system in our interview from the media tour, and basically how this will work is that the operations team will be able to decide which wards or plots can be either like first come first serve or lottery based. Obviously in a game with 24 million registered accounts where there's only so many houses, lottery system everything. Like, I don't know why that's even like a consideration. Like, just literally everything should be on the lottery system to make it as fair as possible. And even then, it's not going to be great because of the way that the system was created. So yeah, that is housing. If you are out there hoping to get a house, hopefully this will be a system that will make it easier for you to get a house. Yeah.
Time is not the determining factor anymore.
Yeah. Similarly too, for relocation, I know we talked a little bit about that earlier. If you want to relocate to a plot, you basically would have to win a lottery, and then you could just relocate. Once you basically just get access to that plot from that. So,
which is cool.
So there you go. Last but certainly not least, the Oceanic Data Center. They are planning to open it up in February of 2022, so only a few months out here. The data center will be called Materia. And worlds in the Materia data center will be treated as new worlds, so you'll have free world transfers, and other bonuses will be available for that when it becomes available.
Delayed, but still happening.
Yep.
So that's great.
So there you go.
Yeah. Whew, there was a lot in that live letter. I mean, it was a good one, though. Yeah, I know. I mean, they had a lot of stuff to cover. There was a lot of, fun, exciting stuff. And then obviously the stuff they had to start out with, just that delay. But I mean, honestly, I'm so excited for Endwalker. And I think there were even some nice surprises in this live letter that I wasn't expecting to get, but that I'm actually really looking forward to.
I cannot wait to see how jobs are translated into PvP. Like that's I can't wait for that live letter. They've said it will be ahead of 6.1 at some point. They're going to tell us how the jobs work, how PvP works. I'm really excited to see that because it really looks like a more MOBA / hero shooter way that they're going.
Yeah.
So I would love to see the jobs kind of conceptually, like, imagine trying to turn a Astrologian into Lucio, or, you know, like, that's what I'm imagining, right? Like
they're also like Overwatch 2 got delayed. Yeah. Excellent. This is our time to shine, everybody.
Yeah, this is our time to shine. We got you. But yeah, it's really interesting for me to see, and I can't wait to see what jobs even mean in PvP.
All the white mages coming in like, Warriors of Light never die.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So yeah, that is it. Is there anything else that we wanted to talk about? I mean, so obviously, we'll talk about this a little after the show, just amongst ourselves, right? But for everybody out there, obviously, Endwalker has been pushed back 2 weeks, so that is going to affect our schedule a little bit. So I was so happy we had everything like planned out until like the new year. I'm like, every single Saturday, like, we know what's going on. It's gonna be great. And then they're like, yeah, so we kind of like ninja'd the date back on that cookbook. Oh, you were planning an episode about the well, darn. And now this, so we're gonna have to rework our schedule a little bit here. Obviously, holidays are also a thing, so we'll just have to kind of wait and see. Obviously, we'll let you guys know. We'll put it up on social and stuff. We also do have the new events option on our discord.gg/gamerscape, so you can click on that and see if we're going to be going live that week. I try and get that up earlier in the week when I remember. It's still new. I'm still trying to get it into my routine early in the week. But yeah, so we'll let you guys know what kind of schedule we're looking at here. Obviously, with the changes now, we will have to shift some things around a little bit. So obviously, we do still plan on having our review. We do still plan on having lorecasts. We just don't know what the time frame is going to look like for that now. So there you go. I think that's it. Is there anything else that we need to?
The only thing that I was gonna say back in the Tomestone section is what aphorism is. Right, because we like to look in the names of things.
What even is this word?
Right, so an aphorism is one of those things like power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So there are these short, pithy, like, sayings, right? And it's funny, like, these are elegant tomestones of aphorism. So what are they? Are they like, never look a gift primal in the mouth, or what are these? I want to get a list of them, right?
Just like a bunch of little trite meme sayings from Ancient Alec that we're going to be trading in. Right. Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to know.
We just go up to fight Anima. We're like, can we just look in your mouth real quick? We just want to make sure that there's nothing sus.
It's funny because I thought we might get something in this live letter about Island Sanctuary. I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't, but I did love the other stuff that we got and the look at the PvP. And then, of course, even that little detail about like the NPCs following you around between quests. Sure. There was so much good stuff in this, but that was one area that I'm still super curious to actually hear more details about. The new trailer obviously was also just absolutely incredible, and the music in it just made me tear up immediately. But I was a little bit surprised that we didn't get anything about that. I mean, granted, it's probably going to be coming out a little bit after stuff, but still.
Yeah, Island Sanctuaries will be like 6.x. But after, and we talked about this a little bit last episode before. It would have been nice to get some clarification on a couple of things, especially with all this talking about housing. But speaking of music and stuff, the EP that was scheduled to come out, the vinyl EP with Footfalls, that is still scheduled for November 17th. Yeah, that's right.
It was 17th.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking, is that the right one? Yeah, that is the right one. It's still coming out on time. That's not getting pushed back or anything. So you'll at least be able to just, listen to the Endwalker theme for like 2 weeks while we wait for the expansion. So just on loop.
Yeah.
The entire time. So yeah, I think that is going to do it here for us this week. If you want, you can find me on the internet on everything as Rofeldurg, ROFLDRG. Zanidra's not here, so
yeah,
her thing is blank because that's how this layout is made. So, Aldianaux, I know you're still working on your OnlyFans, right? Or your fan house, or what are you?
Yeah, I got a lot of ideas about that from when we went to the convention. I'm just trying. I went to some content creation some content creating panels, and I learned a lot. There was some great content creators.
Why are we?
I may have told a story about a foot, and that's all I'm gonna say. While I was on a panel at the convention,
we are covering all
attended.
the weird fetishes today. We've got ears and balls and foots and
I saw the chat. It seems like a really short podcast. Yeah, because it's not like media.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's not like we had 10 hours of content to cover, and this was still a good hunk of information, Yeah.
But yeah, to segue from there, the only other place you can see me is on Gamerscape, where I wrote a lot about a whole bunch of jobs, and it was mostly right. And I'm still changing some of it. I mean, it's like 95% right. Come on.
I mean, we'll take that. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So yeah, Aldianaux in places.
Rook, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me here. You can also find me on Twitter at Bird of Chess, Twitch Bird of Chess, and YouTube Bird of Chess. But next week, it's officially happening. I am going to be changing and rebranding everything to Rookery, so ROOKURI. Don't panic if you see it or you see the changes. If you follow or subscribe or like now, it'll just automatically update
you
for
get this notification. You're like, who the hell is this? What?
Yes, it's me. It's Rook. So don't panic.
Fine. Everything's fine.
But that will be officially going through. And if anybody is curious, or if you wanted to learn more about the lore behind the zones in the media tour, we put a lot of work into particularly my coverage over on YouTube of those 3 lore tours of the different zones, as well as the dungeon and stuff like that. So if you are right now like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do, Endwalker's been delayed for 2 weeks, if you want to get a little more hype, you want to watch some cool stuff, and you want to learn a little bit more about the lore, history, and or tie-ins or things we might be able to expect from the expansion, maybe, none of it confirmed, but much tinfoil hatting and real history involved, check that out, because I really enjoyed making those, and we have more cool videos coming.
So half of that Garlemald video is just you talking about the pipe, right?
Yeah, most of it is just
the
me talking
lore
about the
and
pipe.
the theories about the pipe.
Yes.
Okay. That's my favorite part of Garlemald. It's a pipe called the pipe. It's the most imaginative name.
We need to get out of this section because we were talking about balls, and there's the only thing that I can think about the pipe is just not okay. Let's just keep moving.
Aldianaux.
Look.
No. Bad.
Who do you think the first emperor to lay the pipe was? I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Was it Emmett?
Aldianaux. We gotta stop Fusion. We gotta stop him. We gotta stop now for the good of all.
So I just want to come in. I set that up, and I'm glad that you took that bait. Thank you very much. I was totally in the back of my mind. I was thinking, well, we've covered all these other things.
So much has happened today. I don't even know how to process it all.
All right, so if you would like, for some reason, to contact the show, you can email us, aetheryteradio@gamerescape.com. You can find us on Twitter as well, Aetheryte Radio. You can also find us on all the things at Gamerescape, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Discord, discord.gg/Gamerescape, where we have several channels where you can talk to us about a variety of things. Please don't come in and talk to us about some of the things that we have mentioned here today. Also, some super big news. Keep an eye on the website this week. Obviously, if you're watching this, like something might have already happened. Who's to say? You should go to gamerescape.com and just look. Aldianaux's really gone. He's just
Aldianaux got eaten by those lopper ants, and it's all over now.
They really do eat flesh. He was right. We should have listened to him before it was too late. Oh, what the hell is this
All right,
show?
fine.
Wow. Oh my God. Glenn, I expect a fantastic video of all of this. Whatever just happened. Make sense
Glenn
of it
does
for
do
us.
incredible edits. If
He
you ever
does.
need clips edited and the most beautiful, ridiculous artwork made for them, then absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that is going to do it for us for this week, guys. Again, we will be talking after the show here, figuring out the schedule. Keep an eye on social. Keep an eye on that event tab on Discord. We'll let you know. I don't know if we'll do next week or not. We got to figure it out. So we'll do that and let you guys know. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
See ya.